what is the 3-6 Mafia to Marxism pipeline? Because I was thinking about this last week. I went home and I saw my younger sibling, and he's in the school play, and it's like a bunch of vignettes they do in this high school play, right? Yeah. And one of the vignettes which stunned me in the audience was just a vignette entirely where some guy plays Trotsky on the day of his death.
Oh my god!
And he's just like, it's like very out there for high school public school play thing.
Age group of this? What the fuck? That's
does anybody even get that reference? And how did they frame the death in the high school play? Like
it's basically him, someone reading to him an encyclopedia of like when he died and like the what happened to him and how he died. And then it's like him interacting with like the guy posing as the gardener that put an axe to his skull. It was actually kind of a funny skit, but I was like, how the hell? What?
That's advanced. That's pretty advanced for high school, I gotta say.
It's like,
I was nowhere near that in high school. I was like,
why are we making jokes about how he's banned in his country and what are we doing? But yeah, I was just thinking about like who was the Trotsky of Memphis rap?
The Trotsky of Memphis rap is probably like Play a Fly, dude. Play a Fly is the Trotsky of Memphis rap.
Trotsky of, are we gonna elaborate on that, or we're just gonna?
He's just like a punk bitch, you know. Like he served a really integral, important role early on in the scene. Like you can't deny that. But after a while, he turned on his own crew. He became a loser. He fell off. He got blackballed. The only thing that separates Play a Fly from Leon Trotsky is the fact that he didn't get an ice axe to the shoulder as his final fate. But you know what? There's a lot of time left. He's still alive, and who fucking knows what could happen.
Living off borrowed time, the clock ticks faster. Living off borrowed time, the clock ticks faster. Living off borrowed time, the clock ticks faster. Living off borrowed time, the clock tick faster. Living off borrowed time, the clock ticks 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 faster.
So we are not inciting our audience to go.
No.
Play a Fly. That is not legal.
Hypothetically, anything could happen.
Yeah. Hypothetically, in Minecraft, politically, throw ice axes at Play a Fly for being a punk bitch who is the Memphis rap equivalent to Leon Trotsky.
I think we've come up with a new one right there.
DJ Paul's Joseph Stalin.
I was going to say I'm tempted to. You really can't just throw out these blanket statements without actual all right, why is DJ Paul Stalin?
He just had like an iron grip over the trajectory of everyone that was in his crew. He was kind of a dick, but him being a dick also made the crew get famous. And he's not appreciated in the modern sense as he should be, but he was also pretty fucked up in the old days. And we can't ignore the fact that he did a lot of really fucked up things.
Welcome to Living Off Borrowed Time, the podcast that kicks off our 3-6 Mafia episode by arguing why Stalin is not appreciated like he should be in modern times.
This is gonna win us a lot.
I don't think he was good, don't get me wrong, but he did hold it together for World War II. I'll give him that. That's all I'm giving him credit for. But that's pretty big.
You got to give it up for Stalin for something. But
wait, before we go on, who is Juicy J? Because now I'm too enraptured in these analogies.
Juicy's like Lenin. Juicy is like
Juicy's
like he endures better. He had a better grip on what was going on. He wasn't as much of a dick, but he was still kind of a dick.
Yeah.
You know, Juicy's like the edge of likable. Juicy J is the edge of being a likable entertainer. Paul is in like that nebulous gray area where it's like you don't quite hate him, but you definitely don't like him. You like his music, but him as a person, like I would not want to meet DJ Paul in real life. Like I have no desire to. I don't think he's an evil guy, but I definitely wouldn't want to be his friend. Like he just seems so sketchy and really, really morally bankrupt. Juicy's like he's like the living personification of a drinking buddy, you know? Like Juicy seems like, you know, he's all right. Not somebody that I'd want to be like tight with, but I could hang out with him.
Juicy will talk you out of some money, whereas Paul will straight up scam you out of thousands and thousands or straight up rob you out of thousands and thousands of dollars. I feel like. Yeah,
probably rob.
Like, I feel like that's the difference between the two. Like, and that's part of why Juicy's persona, like, I mean, that's more Juicy's latter persona than his, like, initial, like, the initial 3-6 personas, they're all going to rob you. They're all going to rob you. They're all going to kill you all of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, true.
And you probably had it coming.
You deserved it. You were a bitch. Like, if you weren't such a bitch, they wouldn't have to kill you.
You came with that Anna. You come with that Anna. That's, you know, just setting it up to get robbed. Those lemons, dude. I love Memphis slang so much, dude. Robbing lemons. I have no idea. I guess, is it like they're called lemons because they're like bitter or something? That's a bar, dude. That MF Doom is fucking looking down from heaven like, yo, should have made a song with YouTube while I was here, dude.
That would have been.
He should have.
He really should have.
He should have.
Honestly, considering how much shit Doom got for having like that one flow or whatever, like you notice all like. I mean, first of all, that doesn't matter. Like, if you have one flow and it's a good flow, you can ride that flow for your whole career. And, I mean, Doom he had more than one flow, by the way. And one day, y'all will hear the Doom episodes, and we go into detail about that. But, I mean, on the 3-6 tapes we all listen to, by the way, this is Living Off Borrowed Time. This is the 3-6 Mafia episode. I'm Patrick. That's Caleb, and that's Christian, and we'll be talking about 3-6 Mafia. There was your intro. I did it really fast, so I couldn't fuck it up this time. You'll have to wait for the outro for me to fuck it up. Because I've had a real string of bad outros lately.
It's been impressive. I think you've outdone yourself. I mean, I think the audience knows who Christian is by now, you know.
He's TooBroketoCare on RYM, in case you don't know. But he formerly CB the Dog.
You can find him at pretty much like 50, I would say damn near half of all the good lists involving hip-hop on the site involve him in some way. So
that is quite flattering. Thank you.
Gotta give him credit. I mean, when I think of rap lists, you know, I think of your lists and people like Diction and stuff like that. So there's a lot of good content on your page for years and years.
And you can always count on you to drop like a good impassioned review, just shitting all over Eminem, just
or Tom McDonald.
And Tom McDonald. There was a good string of like just airing Tom McDonald out for being terrible without platforming Tom McDonald and giving Tom McDonald what he wants, which is just, you know, aggrievement and ass hurtness from like the liberal snowflake, quote unquote, contingent. I think you do a very good job in your Tom McDonald reviews of just pointing out why he's full of shit and why he's a fucking grifter without giving him what his music is intended to incite out of the audience. So.
You know who probably wouldn't like Tom McDonald, especially in 1991, is 3-6 Mafia.
Yeah, Tom McDonald.
I don't think Tom McDonald would have made it on Smoked Out Looked.
I would doubt that he would make it personally. He comes off to me as would be described as a lemon. And lemons don't, you know. Get the
back on Memphis. Well, one thing I did want to say before we get in the episode, you know, thank you guys for listening. This episode we want to do for a long time. I do want to just briefly touch on another rapper from Memphis. Rest in peace to Young Dolph.
Rest in peace.
Definitely really tragic news. I mean, a guy that, look, I don't know anything about his personal life, but according to what I read and stuff in the wake of his tragic passing, was like a beloved figure, especially in his community in terms of music. I mean, Dolph's music is great. Him and Key Glock, who I'm a big fan of, had great chemistry the last few years making, and they're real life related too. I think they're cousins, if my memory serves. So it makes sense why they have great chemistry. Those Dumb and Dumber tapes, especially the first one, my friend and I played that shit like all summer 2019. So Dolph's just he was so consistent, so great, and it fucking sucks that it happened. Like, he was buying cookies. That's just fucking terrible. But I do want to give him a shout out because he's a one in a long lineage of artists that were undoubtedly, linked to 3-6 and like an offspring of.
Yeah, he even did a couple songs with Project Pat too, and I think he has a track with Juicy J.
Yeah, I think so. It was definitely on. I listened to a lot of Dolph mixtapes from in the mid 2010s. It was definitely on one of those. Might have been later. I think it was on a Juicy album.
Was it on?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, I only really know Stay Trippy. There was one.
Yeah, it was on a Juicy album.
Yeah,
it was one from. It was the Hustle Continues.
Hustle Continues. Yeah. He was on that Barney's one, right?
Yeah. The track right before the one with Logic on it. So great whiplash there.
Great I like how only on this podcast can we go from, a nice heartfelt memorial, obviously rest in peace to Dolph. I was not like as versed on his music as you were. I mainly knew him from features, but he was obviously very good, very talented. And it was just shitty ass way to lose anybody. Just
lose any.
Yeah. But only on this podcast can we go from a nice heartfelt memorial for somebody to shitting on Logic in 30 seconds. Just in this podcast, anything could be hard right turn to shitting on Logic at any given moment.
Right.
I would say about Logic though, because he didn't totally bomb his features on Juicy's album. Like I don't like his features; they're kind of corny. Like he says, "Avada Kedavra" to all you muggles. Like there's only
yeah. No, much. See, okay, well there you go. Well, you can stop talking like abracadabra to all you.
Avada Kedavra. Right? That's the one where they threaten to kill people. That's what that spell is.
Oh wait, so I'm sorry, I don't know Harry Potter lore like that, so I'm not as well versed in Harry Potter lore as Logic, which I guess
he's basically he's basically saying that he's gonna kill you with it.
Yeah, no, he used a Harry Potter threat on a Juicy J album.
Yeah, pretty. You would be correct.
It was rough.
That's all. Okay, that's all. I continue. I mean, you can continue. I'm done listening to you, but you can continue.
Would you think? How would 3-6 call?
More. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah. How would 3-6 call Logic a lame? Would Logic be a hoe? Is that too harsh on Logic?
No, Logic's a hoe. A lemon, because in my opinion, a lemon implies like you can be like somebody who can stand on their own too. You can be like a formidable aggressor, right? Like Tom McDonald, you can see him rolling up with the Klan and doing some stupid bullshit. Like, Logic is just a hoe, dude. He's not doing anything. He's just getting in the way, being annoying, probably like being some like roadie or a gang, and like just like being like that guy in the crew that raps whenever he's high, and like he's gonna end up getting shot or something, dude. Like fuck.
Yeah, Logic is the guy who just raps whenever there's a blunt riot and won't stop rapping. That's the most threatening thing that he does. Whereas Tom McDonald is like, maybe not the guy who burns the cross, but he definitely is like the guy behind the wheel to make sure you can burn the cross on the lawn. So, like,
cooking team dinner before somebody goes to like burn the cross on the lawn.
I mean, of course, he'll roll on.
He's giving out
to the cops right away too, because he's fucking spineless. But he'll also drive you to a cross burning. So
he's giving out orange wedges at the local lynching.
You literally wait, Christian. That was exactly what I was gonna say. This man just totally just railroaded my joke, but I'm not even mad.
Sorry, dude.
I feel like I have to be composed at some point, but I do want to say, I'm glad we're doing this episode because 3-6 have meant an immeasurable amount to me, just as I'm sure both of you as well have memories and like important connections to 3-6. I mean, they're like one of the most important artists and acts to myself and like my general, music listening life. And like there probably hasn't been a group or an artist with as much of a catalog as they do that I've wanted to just dive into and listen to over and over again for the last, like, I don't know, like 6 years or so. So yeah, I mean, so many of their songs, so many of the beats, the hooks are just like wormed in my brain permanently. And like, it's great that we can have Christian on, who's a, diehard as well, to talk about, some of their work.
I think why I like 3-6 so much is not only is their older catalog like legendary monumental works for hip hop, I legit grew up listening to like their contemporary stuff that was coming out, like the Unbreakables and Most Known Unknowns, and that stuff was really cool. And I'd say Most Known Unknowns isn't super consistent. I like Unbreakables a lot though, but it's big songs like Stay Fly and like
Pop of My
Collar, Side to Side. Those aged really well and go hard as fuck, even if the rest of the album's a little mixed. But like it was cool, like seeing like I used to like run over to the TV anytime I'd see like the Stay Fly music video because I thought Juicy J putting in his grills was the most baller shit ever. And then a few years later, I hear about Space Ghost, Perp, and ASAP Rocky, and people keep comparing them to like old 3-6. And I didn't know too much about old 3-6 prior. Their work prior to '97, I wasn't super familiar with. And then I started listening to it, and I was like, whoa. Holy shit, I like their older stuff, but god damn, this stuff is insane. And it's just to see like a childhood favorite of mine endure for so long and see how influential and listenable and fun to listen to that group is definitely why they connect with me so much.
Yeah, there are plenty. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Patrick.
I was just going to real quick. I don't have as deep a connection as you two do to them, but I've really always enjoyed their music. I probably had the most initial exposure in the same period Christian was talking about with Unbreakables, Most Known Unknowns. Most Known Unknowns is the only one I had. I had that on CD actually, and mainly because Stay Fly is, or Stay Fly. I'm gonna fucking fuck that up 1,000 times because it was originally Stay High, I believe, and then they had to do a clean version for the radio. I'm not certain, but I'm gonna fuck that up a million times.
That's true. They you're right. Because some of their albums on streaming might have like there's a clean version of an album and it will have the Stay Fly like instead of like
Stay High,
like and the hook you can hear that it's changed.
Stay High, exactly. They change it, but I got it pretty much exactly based on that. I still think that is probably top 5, maybe top 3 single of the 2000s. That was my defining song for them. I didn't really know their early work at all until much more recently. The thing about 3-6 was that it was sort of the thing that like kids in my circle listened to sort of ironically, and I got Lil Jon sense, I guess. And I think they knew that too. Like they knew that was the fan base they had after a while with their more mainstream stuff. They leaned into that. Juicy especially, I think. Like big outsized personas, the whole crunk thing. So it was very jarring for me when I listened to their initial, like, Smoked Out, Loced Out, Mystic Stylez era stuff, which is straight, like, I mean, it's still theatrical. They're still leaning into it, but in a different way and just almost more based upon the music behind it. Genuinely fucking scary, atmospheric, groundbreaking fucking music. And that really, it took me a while to get to that though. And I don't think I've listened, like, I think Mystic Stylez, spoiler, Mystic Stylez is the one that I feel the strongest about, that I've listened to the most. There are some stuff on this podcast that I only listen for the homework that I only listened to once before. And there are about 1 or 2 there's one that I'd only listened to, for the first time in the homework. And there was one that is my second time listening to it. And I wish I hadn't had to listen to it the first time. I'm sure you can guess which one that is. So we'll get, But so my point is, I'm not as well versed on the catalog as Christian or Caleb, so I'll probably have less to say on some stuff. But I've never listening, like they've pretty much always been a constant in my rap listening. Because around 2003, 2004 is when I would say that rap hip hop became like my favorite genre of music, and that's when they were really like mainstream huge. So they were always around, and I always thought they had like fun big singles. But it was only relatively recently that I got more into like their back catalog and appreciating how truly you get why so many artists reference them so much. And then when you listen to their early shit, you see how like their flows, the production just really just set the template for so much.
I think did I interrupt you?
Oh no, I wholeheartedly agree. But yeah, go ahead, Christian.
I think for me what's cool is like 3-6 Mafia at this point, like I don't know anybody who knows about them at this point who doesn't agree that they're one of the most creative, influential, like maverick artists of their time. and yet they were so like humble and even funny about it. Like they were always pretty much in on the joke, not in the sense like their artistry was fantastic, but they never took themselves too seriously. Like the skits on some of their older mixtapes are like Juicy J's skits on like his Volume 9 mixtape are hilarious. Or on Mystic Stylez, where they put a Beavis and Butthead sample in on the last song. Like they were always like they always had a good sense of humor, and they didn't take themselves too seriously, and were really humble about the fact that they were basically reinventing music in their kids' bedrooms in like the mid 90s in Memphis. And 30 years later, you know, a lot of the more grandstanding acts of their time and that came to follow them, really other than like Kanye West, because he's still ubiquitously influential, don't have as much influence as they do now. And I don't see their influence slowing down anytime soon. But you wouldn't have expected that back in their initial run, because they were just so goofy and unserious about what they were doing.
Yeah, it was the most. Shout out to someone who hopefully will have us a guest on part 2, Look at Ghost, aka John, who said in a review that it was like some of the most unpretentious yet like perfect music ever recorded. And I'm paraphrasing, but I believe that's what he said.
That's a great way to put it, because I feel like that's something that's really appealing about their flows on the early stuff, especially is, well, Juicy and Gangsta Boo's flows especially, I think, is that they just come across as really, there's a way they rap that's really aggressive and funny, but it feels kind of like funny in the way they're like at a party funny almost, and not like outsized. Like, I'm trying to think of the right way to put this. Like, the way that Juicy J threatens to kill you is different than the way that Biggie and Rick Ross threaten to kill you.
Yeah.
It's a different presence. It's
a different sort of like goofier. It's no less theatrical, I guess, but it's less, I don't know, it feels just, and maybe it's partially
like a black comedy almost.
Production and everything. Obviously, there's a grimier aspect to it, but there's also different than the way Tommy Wright III threatens to kill you. Like, I'm actually afraid he's going to kill me. But I never really get that impression out of Juicy J. Like, he seems like way more of a comic, although more later in his career. It's hard for me because I heard so much more later Juicy before the early stuff. I imagine you probably see more threatening if you heard his early shit, like if you followed him through his career.
Yeah, I think it's just, I think it's the atmosphere cultivated in 3 6 Mafia, whether it's the early tapes, you know, the cassettes, or whether it's you know, some of the Canon albums that we're going to talk about. I say Canon loosely because there's really, I think there's more Canon to us than the general population, but there is Canon.
Well, I mean, sure. Well, so we should start from I guess we consider Smoked Out, Loced Out the beginning. Is that where we want to start off? Or
I think that's fair.
I think that's fair because a lot of like the little side stuff we could talk about on the following episode. I think
part 2 we'll get to a lot of the DJ Paul cassettes, which are just as essential to 3 6, but just for the purposes of, you know, not making this 17 hours long, like one of our year-end episodes. Shout out to Trav. Can't wait to have it on for the year-end episode, which will be 17 hours long.
Yes.
We're just going to try and, there are 13 Canon 3 6 albums, and we're going to try and keep it to that. So we'll start with Smoked Out, Loced Out, which is not available on Spotify, I don't think, because I have it on.
No, it's...
I didn't have it on. I haven't burned a CD, but I was looking on Spotify. I didn't see it. I think Spotify starts with Mystic Stylez.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because some of it also is in updated versions on subsequent 3 6 albums. One thing that 3 6 does, I think, which is I don't want to say unique to them necessarily, because I actually think this happens in jazz music too. From what I've heard over the years, is like taking a song that you've done or riffing on a song that you've done and doing a different variation on it in a different album. 3 6 does that all the time, and all the versions are great. Like usually,
I mean, up to their very last album, where we actually get to talk about, you know, shout out to producer Wyatt, we get to talk about ICP a few times this episode, and they actually do that on their very last one. Although I didn't get to listen to that specific track, but yeah.
No, so I think this. I mean, the first thing Also, Patrick, I just want to comment your review of Smoked Out, Loced Out, where you talk about it's one of those albums you really got to blast to appreciate, but I look very dumb blasting, being the one to blast in my car situations. I can't tell you how many times. There was an old episode we recorded that is no longer in circulation, but there's I mentioned playing When the Smoke Clears. This is back in like 2017. And I mentioned When the Smoke Clears, and I'm like, at the time, I think I was like 19. I'm like, I'm a 19-year-old white kid in suburban New York blasting When the Smoke Clears from you know, you just hope that nobody else rolls down the windows near you, but that's fine, you know. Fuck it, you know, it's good. It's good music.
I mean, there was a period where my absolute favorite song to blast in my car was the title track of Oxymoron by Schoolboy Q, where it has him yelling, "I just stopped selling crack today" at the top of his lungs. But that was kind of a hard sell from my Ford Fusion in Lancaster.
Yeah, you know,
So
gotta do what you gotta do, I guess.
I mean, I don't think I could sell people that I'd started selling crack at any point, but I mean, I guess I wasn't anymore.
The guy with the Ted Cruz bumper sticker would be very upset.
He would have to make several right turns to find somewhere to pull over and call the cops.
A safe rest area to call the cops.
I personally enjoy bumping crazy ass shit like that in the suburbs because not for any other reason than the fact that you have the potential to drive past somebody who is like got the Ted Cruz bumper sticker or the Drain the Swamp flag on the back of the car. And with those kinds of people, it's a 50% chance that that's going to annoy them. And if that 50% actually works and I annoyed them just by listening to music, that makes it all worth it, man. It makes being cringy and driving to the supermarket in a really good neighborhood, blasting some stuff about like murdering people.
The most aggressive reaction I've gotten out here to playing hip hop was to Wesley's Theory off of To Pimp a Butterfly.
Oh,
I had a white chick in a hybrid car flip me off.
Jesus. Why?
Yeah, and it wasn't like a traffic related thing. Like literally, she just like drove by me, clearly like stopped to hear what I was playing, and then flipped me off and sped off.
What, was she like a big fan of the CIA or something? Like, why is she...
I mean, maybe she was a big Sylvester Stallone fan, actually. Maybe she was not a big fan of Simon Phoenix. I don't know. I guess the Wesley Snipes joke bombed hard, but not a lot of people were.
She
But yeah, no, I
didn't like the intro. She was like, "What the fuck is this? What is he listening to?" She's like, every what is
no,
this?
that was that part. Maybe she thought it was actually that part that she slowed down and heard, and then flipped me off and ran off. Maybe she started looking. I don't know, but
that is white liberal women in a nutshell. Dropping up in a hybrid, slowing down.
Aaron Sorkin fan in that car right there, but
biggest West Wing defender on the planet right there.
But yeah, you would think that like of all the songs to piss people off, and of all the people to get pissed off by it and have that extreme of a reaction, that is the most extreme reaction I've had. So
yeah, well,
in this area, which is a very red area that I live in right now, like there are actual there's one bumper sticker I've seen more than once around here where it's like an American flag, but the stars are arranged like a Q.
Jesus Christ.
Real shit, man.
Christian was just so mad once he figured that out.
Open your fifth eye right there. Let me tell you. Real shit.
Dystopic, dude. That is horrifying.
Yeah, that's a harsh reality. But
dude, there's nothing whacker than in my neighborhood. There's a Korean War memorial, which like fuck the soldiers that fought in the Korean War, dude. Like they killed a fifth of the Korean population. Like fuck them. But like, so there's still a memorial for them. And they're like these like rednecks that I live around. Every Saturday they go out there with like these bizarre flags and signs, like the Q's out, dude. Trust the plan stuff is there. We got 3%ers in the crowd. And then they were saying that Joe Biden was a communist and all this crazy shit, dude. I was like, this is really bizarre. I don't want to go on like some side rant, but just as you brought it up, I just thought of that. Like he'll drive past those people, and those are the kind of people we're playing, something like Tear the Club Up is going to piss them off. And that's, hopefully it does. It might not, but I hope it does.
A little Tear the Club Up 97 might fucking ruin their day. I really hope it does. So.
Yeah, I would co-sign it if it does. I cross my fingers.
I mean, you could be like, well, we'll try and find common ground with them. Like, they have a song called Bin Laden. You might be able to relate to that.
There's a really good New York artist doing drill stuff with sample-based drill called Shawnee Bin Laden, which is just a shout out to Shawnee Bin Laden, great artist, but also can only imagine the whiplash that would give conservatives. Like, why is his name Bin Laden? Oh, Jesus. Anyhow, before we get too off the rails and nobody listens to this, let's talk about Smoked Out, Loced Out. I mean, the common thing is that people who don't like this will say, "Oh, it sounds like it was recorded in a tin can." Or
that's the best part, though.
That's the point. Yeah,
that's actually a feature, not a bug. I would say.
Yes.
The low fidelity. I mean, like, I think that Mystic Stylez gets it better because it keeps the like sort of fuzzy aesthetic of it, but it actually has more production muscle and like I think it does. It sounds like it does, or at least Paul has more. I think there's more thump behind Mystic Stylez. I don't think that this sounds like it lacks. I think that it's cheapness. I won't say that it doesn't sound cheap, because it does sound like it was recorded for like a low budget, but I don't think that that's a bad thing. I will say that I think that's actually an asset. I think that it gives it character.
I think it kind of comes off to me like 3-6 Mafia. If I can make like a weird comparison right now, and I've made a couple already, so I might as well just keep going. Like Smoked Out, Loced Out, it's like a snuff film, and then Mystic Stylez is like a slasher flick. Sorry.
Yeah. No,
it's low, like Mystic Stylez is like low budget, but like it's made in. It has the fundamentals. Like, it was made in a studio. It was recorded on basically competent equipment. Whereas like on their older stuff, and I love their older stuff, so that's not a diss. But their older stuff, like, it is some ramshackle equipment that they're using and just piecing it all together to make some shit that hits hard as fuck. But it is totally objectively made on some of the worst equipment you could probably get your hands on at the time.
It's like the best B movie you've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's like Deadly Premonition, where it's like structurally, like objectively, like if you brought that to like a studio engineer, they'd like have a heart attack. But yeah, it's so it plays into that so well that I wouldn't want to hear it any other way. Like, I don't want to hear Now I'm High, Really High by 3-6, which is on one of their canon albums, on Mystic Stylez actually, but then also is on Smoked Out, Loced Out, I believe. I wouldn't want to hear that any other way than in its scuzzy original sound. Like, that's how I want to hear that song. The way that they worked around the technical limitations was fantastic.
Yeah, it's wholly unique. I mean, there's nothing that sounded like this, you know. I know that there's probably been, and I'm sure there will be, like, consternation amongst, you know, Memphis rap heads about, you know, who does what first, and, you know, the impact of all the, you know, who got what from who, because there was multiple artists coming up around the same time doing this sort of thing. But I mean, this is just like listening to this is like the first time is almost like an out of body experience, because you're like, how did they record this, and how did they release this? Because it's just like unreal, and it's like, and how like weird and kind of repetitive and like staticky it is. I think
it was like masking the Glock with that like completely destroyed Diana Ross sample. Like, I don't want to hear that any other way. If they clean that sample up, that would make the song not as good. It was
how good as all. I mean, it was perfected on a subsequent record that I'm sure we'll talk about. But Ain't Barring That is my favorite 3-6 song.
Oh yeah,
that's my favorite one on here too, I would say.
Ain't Barring That is like, you could just give me that beat for an hour and I would listen to the whole thing, and I would just find new appreciation for it with each passing minute. Like
I
that's
have
how
no idea what samples they used in that, other than like the Project Pat vocal samples and I don't know what the instrumental is behind it, but it's fantastic.
It sounds like something that was dropped. I mean, you've brought this up before in lists and things like that, but it sounds like something that was dropped from 20 years in the future, and they just put it in the early 90s. I mean, it's unbelievable. Like, it's hard for me to talk about that song because of how like much of a connection I have to it. And it's ironic because I can't say half the hook, but like, you know.
Yeah, you're gonna have there will be multiple songs.
You can't say half the hook, but you can feel what it's going for.
You can absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, sometimes you just have to slap a punk bitch, like, you know. Like, but it's more of just. What
I love about like 3-6 music, especially like the instrumental tracks that call for some kind of violent action, whether it's slapping a punk bitch or like shooting someone with the 4.5 Glock, dude. Like, it's direct action all the time. It's never beat around the bush. It's always like slap a punk bitch, slap a punk bitch. If you ain't borrowing that shit, don't talk to them about it. Don't work through the issue. Slap them. Like, that's what I'm talking about. We need that kind of energy right now. The Proud Boys roll up, slap them. Like, I don't.
This is not like
Tom McDonald drops a new song, slap them. New Eminem album's out, slap Eminem. Eminem didn't have to do anything overtly problematic, but I don't need another fucking Eminem album right now.
I mean, he made a sequel to fucking Venom. He made a Venom, like, I guess there was a sequel to the Venom movie, so we had to make a sequel to Venom.
Venom. Yeah, the actual movie.
He deserves a slap for that. Like, that right there.
Oh, yeah, that's because he's a punk bitch, and he deserves a slap, dude. That's just like, if you're gonna make a Venom sequel, change the fucking hook, dude. I heard that song, I was like, Jesus Christ. But there's also kind of like talking about going back to with 3-6's 2000s music. Like, Eminem, in my opinion, did a lot of grandstanding in the 2000s with his work. And to be fair, his early stuff lives up to the hype somewhat. It is classic. But 3-6, like, you know, sipping on some scissor. Like, I'm reaching for sipping on some scissor 10 times more than I'm reaching for anything Eminem ever made. Like,
I mean, that's like one of the best songs ever made. So.
Yeah, no,
it's amazing. It's amazing.
Hypnotic. Like, it's, well, one of the things you were saying about how like repetitive it is, and I think there's a review by one of my friends on one of the lesser ones. I think it was probably Choices, which that's probably gonna be the meanest I am to any 3-6 album except for Last to Walk is Choices. And they was talking about how there's like that's a 2.5-star review. It's pretty negative, but he says there's like a primal appeal to it though. And I think that's something about 3-6 right from the jump is primal. That's what I get off that about the fucking the hooks, the repetition. Like, and that bleeds over into the way that you have the flows, like Juicy's flow. Like, Paul's flow is the most bait. Like, Paul's flow is like a producer flow almost, but he still like has the aggression to it. But then you have like Juicy and Boo have these like fucking like super charismatic, like, but they're also just like repetitive mantra sort of flows. I'm trying to think of, but you know what I mean? Like, there's a sort of way where it's like anything could be a hook that Paul could scratch in the background, or later Juicy. I don't know how much production did Juicy really do in the early days. Was it always Paul, like, or the early days, or because I'm not as super well versed on who produced what.
I don't understand why people think Juicy didn't produce as much. Is there something that I'm like unaware of with regards to like?
I thought that he always produced, but he produced more as it went on. I thought Paul was the primary producer in the beginning. But I said I'm not really well versed on that. That's why I was asking.
So, as I've understood it, it was that before, because how Paul and Juicy linked up was initially they formed something called the Backyard Posse, which then became 3-6 Mafia. And the Backyard Posse was DJ Paul, Juicy J, and Lord Infamous, where Juicy and Paul both did the beats and Lord rapped on them, which is fucking awesome. But,
right.
Hold on.
Okay. I mean, yeah. I mean, Juicy, like...
somebody walked into I'm shooting this in my garage right now, so sorry. Let me continue on that. Sure. Real quick. Juicy did it, as far as I knew, the reason Paul and Juicy linked up in the early days was because Paul had heard Juicy's production and Juicy had heard Paul's production. They both thought each other were really good at what they were doing and wanted to like unite to make music together because they saw that they could it would be a lucrative gig for them to work in collaboration, because a lot of Juicy's tapes from the 90s, like the beats and stuff, are phenomenal, and I don't think he gets quite enough credit. Because Paul, don't get me wrong, I love Paul, he's an amazing producer, but I don't think Juicy gets quite enough credit for how good of a producer he is too. You can tell too, if you really listen to both him and Paul, you can tell where Juicy's contributions are and where Paul's are, and where they connected and stuff. So yeah, no. To answer your question though, I think Juicy and Paul were pretty much mutually involved with the production on the come up.
Yeah, and that's what I thought too, just by going off of some of the credits on what credits you can find on the early stuff and the cassettes and things like that, like from what I've seen on, Wikipedia or things like that. But yeah, that is what I always thought too. I don't know how it got divvied up. They all went off and did their own solo shit too, and etc. So there's
just my own personal perception is that I think that Juicy just had so much more reputation as a rapper, and Paul had more reputation, like a DJ in the name, and he raps like a producer. I think it just kind of felt like Juicy was more front of stage talent. So and it's like, and occasionally he would produce. Like, I feel like just because he had such a prevalent solo career, he was such an outsized personality, he doesn't seem like somebody who'd be a producer. People forget that rappers produced for themselves all the time, more back in the day. Like, now it seems like more of a novelty. But
yeah, no, that's
like Volume 9 by Juicy J. I know we're trying to avoid the cassette talk, but I'm accidentally slipping into it. Because I personally think Juicy J is the best member of 3 6 Mafia, but that's just me. Is that like he does all the beats on there besides Let's Make a Stang. MC Mac does that beat. He does every other beat on that tape. And like, if you ever heard 9TO Dome or Come and Get Your Wig Split or other songs that Juicy made, those beats are out of this world. Yeah. Like,
especially considering when they were made.
Even within the canon of Memphis rap, I've never heard anything that whacked out before. And I just feel like while Paul's influence is powerfully felt on a lot of those beats, there are little inflections here or there where you can definitely tell Juicy was pulling his own weight too, as both a producer and, as you said, a rapper, because he as a rapper he has way more conviction than Paul did.
Yeah. And Paul's totally fine. Like, Paul has a good menacing presence, but I'd say in terms of like, he's definitely not on the same level as Juicy, Infamous, or Boo in terms of like what he's bringing to the table. Like, he has the right presence for it. And the thing about producers that rap is a lot of times they might not have the most advanced flow, but they know how like to rap over their own shit. Like, that's the advantage a producer that raps will always have. Like, sometimes to the point of even being too in the pocket. Like, that's a problem I have with like Black Milk a lot, at least his earlier stuff, is where he just sounds monotone because he's so rapping in the pocket on his own shit. Because like, you produced it, you know exactly where the pocket is. So
right.
But I feel like, Paul's biggest contributions are more on the production side than the rap side, for sure. Whereas I think Juicy contributes equally. And I think that's, again, like I was saying, that since Juicy is such a presence on the mic, people kind of downplay his production. Like, I certainly, again, didn't know the extent of his production contributions, just that they existed. But yeah, and he still produces, like, he still got production work when he was in a solo career. He would still do it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like even although on his solo albums, it was like he would still more cherry pick from like producers and shit. But like, he wasn't.
Well, his latest album actually is entirely produced by him.
No shit.
Yeah, only a handful of co-producers, but every beat most of the beats it's just him making the beats, and then like 2 or 3 songs he has like a co-producer on it too. And they rip, dude. They're
shit. Yeah, I didn't even know this came out last year.
Yeah, Juicy's his last couple of solo projects have been quality.
Oh god, the Logic song you were talking about with that line is called Shorty Bad. So
it's true.
Which I have no problem. Oh, there are 2 Logic features?
There are 2 Logic features.
Come on, man. Wait, that wasn't 1995 was after the Young Dolph song, so that's the one you were talking about. But there are 2 Logic fucking features on. Oh man, why does he like Logic? Like, 'cause he's done a lot of shit with Logic. Like, this is not like an anomaly. Like, he was on Logic. He was the best. He was the only good thing about the one Logic album. Every day, or I don't know. Like, his song was the only song that was like listenable on that.
The one that had the Hotline song on it, but
the Who Can Relate to I Get Blowjobs, and the song that he used to brag, like he parlayed into getting blowjobs and bragged about it. Like, I made a song to pander to people who were suicidal, and then got my dick sucked. Really good guy. Just
a real thing.
Stellar artist.
A real thing.
How do we end up talking about Logic again?
We really got off the. However, just to go back to what Christian was saying, Volume 9, one of my favorite 3-6 things in general. Also, which makes it one of my favorite albums. Which 90 Year Dome is also one of my favorite songs. So you hit the three, the trifecta there with that one. But 90 Year Dome sounds like. I mean, it's hard to even like come up with what that sounds like. It sounds like it's so bizarre in how it hits, but man, it hits. Like,
it's raw as hell.
Your review that was like, you can see sort of seeds for Cray and Space Ghost Perp. Like, that's just a great way to put it, because when you listen to like a really weird Cray song that could have been on like Crack Clouds or Thug Angel or something, you're like, oh shit. Like, I can, yeah.
Yeah, I also like what you say in your review about the samples too, like how one of the more straightforward instrumental tracks, the Hypnotized Minds canon, which by any other standard is utterly bizarre, which is true, because like the frequent beats switching between a soul sample and some bizarre synth sample, which I don't know how prevalent that is on Smoked Out, Loped Out, but that would definitely be something that Paul and Juicy would go to a lot, is like very jarring switches, jarring in a good way, I would say, between like really harsh high synths and like really like buttery smooth, like sort of like the kind of samples that Pimp would pick for UGK shit.
Yeah, no, and to give Paul his props, because I obviously love DJ Paul as a producer, don't get me wrong. He would at one point in the with the duo as producers, he was the guy playing actual live synthesizer arrangements. Like, he had a Korg synthesizer that he was physically composing synth lines over the beats he was making. And some of them are like, you guys know the song Playa Haters, right?
Yeah, of course.
Paul plays the synths on that. Those real dissonant synths. That's not a sample. That's Paul playing synths. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, that is crazy, because he does it very well then, because it sounds like it was ripped from something almost.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's a good anecdote. I did not know that.
Yeah, and on Mystic Styles, he does if you know that the synth line in Tear the Club Up during the hook, and then he goes to like the higher chord. That's Paul playing those synths. That's not a sample.
Fire. That's actually crazy. Good shit.
I'm gonna have to start listening for more shit where it sounds like he's playing live synth, because I actually started noticing that more on when I was listening to The End today, that it sounded like, and I feel like The End is probably not so much a case of that, because I feel like The End is when they started really like actually having a budget on stuff. So
I can see that they're I can see it's there, like in the sense that if you just kind of listen to the progression, you can hear it in terms, like Christian, you were referring to like the production, the sounds like it has more of a studio quality as you go along, but the roots and what they were doing are still the same, and that's what makes it so unique, is that a lot of times the music will evolve and it won't necessarily be for good in that way.
I mean, they didn't really make a hard like real pivot until the crunk stuff in like the 2000s, which again
it took like 15 years for them to make a pivot.
And even then, like, crunk still was a style you could argue they completely innovated. Like, they were using the term like well into like the late 90s, which before it was a mainstream term. Even if the music they were making wasn't like, quote unquote, like crunk music, like it was a different style. They were still like that aggressive. Like, you could say they had the aesthetic of it and a lot of the rapping characteristics of it, even if the beats and the overall approach was different. Like, they weren't like pure crunk until Unbreakables, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some of the what they were saying, like the terminology or the lingo and stuff like that. I mean, that predated what a lot was going on with Lil Jon and Atlanta stuff and all that. So,
and you can even see their pivot into the crunk style beginning. Like it wasn't like they were making crunk at that time, but you can see where they were brainstorming that kind of sound early on, as early as like some of the songs on Mystic Style, like Tear the Club Up, for example. That is at least influenced by crunk, if it's not a overtly crunk like thing, or like not influenced, like a precursor to crunk rather.
Yeah, it's like proto crunk, I would say. It's definitely like the hook, especially, I would say, is something that you could hear. Like, there's actually a Lil Jon song called "Fuck the Club Up," which that hook reminds, like, I feel like almost has to be like a direct reference, right?
Well, even,
fuck the club up. What?
Even,
fuck the club up. I'm trying to think of what it's.
Even
that feels like it's almost a direct reference. I'm trying to remember if it's actually off a Lil Jon album or if it's a feature he did for somebody. But does anybody else know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's on his greatest hits album.
Well, then it would probably be on like a previous, because it's great. Well, maybe it was something they did just for the greatest hits. But yeah, so it's like something like that. So clearly it's like Lil Jon was listening to this sort of stuff. Like this, like everybody listened to 3-6. So of course. But,
and now, I mean, there's like overt references and like, anything. I mean, shit like the Astroworld song that had the Taylor
No Bystander,
nobody had the interpolation on it. It's everywhere. I mean, you could hear it in any Metro Boomin, damn near any Metro Boomin beat like has the echoes of it. So yeah, it's all over the place. I mean, 21 has done a number of songs that have direct reference to it. It's that song "Tear the Club Up" has got to be probably their most referenced song, you would say, right, Christian?
"Tear the Club." Oh yeah, that's like
or Slava
probably their big.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that's probably it. Yep, that's it.
That one. Patrick famously doesn't like one of the.
I mean, we don't need to. I knew that the second I mentioned that we were going to have to get into the King's.
It's gonna come up. It's gonna come up.
What happened?
Patrick doesn't like Future on
the Black Panther soundtrack. That the King's Dead song with Future and Kendrick. Yeah, I do not like the Future feature that references that song, where he does like the squeaky bed voice thing.
I certainly wouldn't brag about that feature, but it's definitely like so bizarre. It makes you want to listen to it again just for how bizarre it is. So it kind of works. Not in the sense that like I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, you got to hear this crazy ass part where Future says "la di da slava mana," but like, it's so ridiculous and so bold in like not like a in a grand sense of
listenable
like kind of sense that it I don't know, it adds like some like levity to the song. I think.
I mean, it's definitely personality like to the song, and I remember it more than I remember anything Kendrick did on it. So I mean, it makes it memorable, I will say that, but I don't enjoy it. I've tried repeatedly because I know a lot of people, like, obviously other people on this podcast enjoy it a lot more than I do. Plenty of people whose opinions I respect enjoy that a lot more than I do. I've been clowned for that, but enjoy, and I enjoy plenty of Future doing weird shit with his voice. Future like kind of fucking off in the studio, like, although to be fair, I've kind of fallen off on listening to a lot of his projects. Like, I didn't hear Wizard or whatever, the one that he stole the Kid Cudi album title for. I didn't hear that. I don't think I've heard anything.
Better than any Kid Cudi album Cudi probably made. Anyway. Just offhand.
That's low bar. I mean, I'm sure it's better than the one.
I mean, yeah, some people would probably disagree with me, but
I'll give Cudi his props for the Man on the Moon series, but that's about as far as I'll go. And
I mean, I actually really like a lot of Cudi music, but it's like, aside from Kids See Ghosts, I don't think he makes good albums.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Like, I think
but in terms of, but I think he's like extremely pretentious and just like way too up. Like, I think Man on the Moon 2 is probably the closest I've come to him I've seen to thinking he makes a great album. And even then, there's just like a lot of, I don't know. Actually, no, Passion, Pain, and Demon Slaying is actually really good. But it's still 90 fucking minutes long.
It's true.
And it has a Jaden Smith feature on it.
Does have a Jaden Smith feature on it.
Which I could just... Your album's 90 minutes and you have a Jaden Smith feature. I can tell you at least one thing you could have lost to make it less than 90 minutes.
Maybe a few things. Overall thoughts on Smoked Out, Loked Out, because my opinion of it is it's outstanding.
Oh.
I love it. It's wholly unique, and there's also, and it is like excellent. I mean, there's just stuff on here that doesn't sound like anything else, but I do think that even like some of my favorite songs on here, they are kind of tweaked in different ways that are better, but that takes nothing away from this because it's still like one of the best debuts you'll hear.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing against
from the run from Now I'm High Really High through to Victim of This Shit is the highlight of the album. That's like the heart of the album right there. Yeah. That's really just, I could repeat that specific stretch for quite a while. I think that's just like the most hypnotic production on the album for sure. Well, Mask and the Glock, actually. I mean, Mask and the Glock's fucking amazing. That's the best production on the album.
I'll get to all those songs when we get to the Underground Volume 1. But yeah, like that's
But like their versions here, I'm saying, I think are like uniquely enjoyable for how they are here too. I think that, yeah, you're right. They would improve upon the ones that get repeated later on for the most part.
But they're still like, I mean, the 2/3 of this album, at least, if not more, damn near the entire album is just classic shit.
Right.
I mean,
it is. It's really good. I do feel like it gets a little draggy because it's a lot of the same thing. But beyond that, like it's very hard. Like even though I think it gets a little draggy, there's nothing I lose when I'm looking at it. It's like, no, these are all great songs. And it's a fucking, like, I hate to say it, like, be really simple about it, but there's just a vibe all the way through. Like from the beginning to the end, like with the sound, with the phone skits and just the general fuzzy, blown out cassette atmosphere of it. It just feels like you're riding around in a shitty ass car through a shitty ass Memphis town, but you're having a good ass time. You're just chilling and getting fucked up and probably going to go rob some people. Although I'm the type of person who would get robbed by these people. So
yeah, you just have to listen to Crank This Bitch Up. Like that's a fact. You just have to crank this bitch up. That's the most apt song title we get.
Actually, I'm not the biggest fan of Squeeze My Nuts. That's not a great song. But beyond that,
you know, I think that's a really good song. But I get it. I can see how that would be.
I was just thinking about if there's something I'd lose on here because I'm like, yeah, when I was listening to it on a re-listen and just trying to think, I was like, well, my one criticism would be I do feel like it dragged a little bit, and I was like, well, what would you lose? I'm like, I'd probably lose Squeeze My Nuts. So it's not a terrible song or anything, but that's the one that I felt like I'm looking at. It's like that's the one I'd lose in the track list. But yeah, Ain't Boring, that's the best. And again, there's probably a better version later on, but still, I think Stash Pot has a really Stash Pot has fucking awesome beat, fucking awesome hook.
Incredible.
And Mask and the Glock has the best beat on here. So yeah, it's not my favorite, but it's top 5, absolutely, maybe top 3, and truly unique fucking production and atmosphere that has been really imitated, like in a lot of revival stuff, like going up to like recent stuff with like, I'd say like Denzel Curry kind, like Space Ghost Perp, obviously, worships this fucking album, but then you have stuff around that orbit like Denzel Curry, Amber London, all kind of emulate this. So recent sounds I think have been trying to emulate like what at the time they would consider flaws in this album have become like, you know, characteristics of it and assets over time, like the fuzz and the quote unquote low fidelity. So
yeah, the things that may have been potentially derided for in the past or not appreciated in the past are now elements that are celebrated.
Yes.
Yeah. And for the record, I mean, like, you just got to play this at the maximum volume. Like, Mask and the Glock, you just have to, like, walk up to your house. I mean, the intro to Walk Up to Your House is the hardest shit.
Yeah.
Like, oh, my God. It's like, yeah, just, the feeling that when that song comes on, I can picture the imagery of them walking up to someone's house and, like, knocking on the door. And you're just like, all right, like, I guess this is it. This is it. Stash Pot, you made a great point, Patrick. Stash Pot is one of the best songs, like, for sure. That's an insane beat. I fucking love that song. Always have. Where does this rank in your hierarchy, Christian, for 3-6?
I like it a lot. I'd say as far as their studio albums are we counting the compilations as their studio albums? Like they're obviously not in a literal sense, but like
I would
function as albums.
I think the Underground, the 3 volumes, I would.
Yeah, I agree. Most people do. I think most people consider that canon.
Yeah, I would say that you'd have my favorite is Underground Volume 1. That's my favorite album ever. Then Mystic Stylez, and then I'd put Smoked Out Loced Out as their third best. I think kind of what you guys were touching on before. It can get a little one note at times. Like it can get a little bit. I don't want to say repetitive because I love when they're repetitive, but it can get a little monotonous at times. But not in a negative way, because it's still like so uncanny and so fucking crazy to listen to that it's still awesome. But I feel like it's more of a testament to how good they are, is that they would go on to set the bar even higher later on in their careers. And even at that time with some of their solo works. But it's still like, if you like Memphis rap and if you like 3 6 Mafia, especially their older material, you have to listen to this album. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah, this is muscle. If you even remotely like some of 3 6 Mafia stuff that you've heard in passing, you're probably gonna like this. And not only are you gonna like this, you're probably gonna fucking love this, like we do. So, yeah, high recommendation.
Also, just in real quick, if you heard our last episode, the Without Warning episode, that was that went on at length about how that was the perfect fall album. I think this is also a perfect fall. Like most of the early period 3 6, I think, especially the Paul and Juicy's mix. Tapes and stuff are great fall, like we're talking about the Without Warning episode, like fall horror movie, like Falling Leaves type music. I get that off this album probably more than any other 3 6. This or Mystic Stylez, like those first two, just that's the fucking vibe I got off of it, because I was driving around like with that kind of weather while I was listening to this for the episode, and that it just fit perfectly with some of these beats. It just feels like there's like horror synths, like just like especially Walk Up to Your House or like that, like again, that feels like you can hear the footsteps in the beat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like footsteps crunching on leaves and like coming up, like walking up to your house to rob the fuck out of you. So
yeah, no, chop it off, you know. But yeah, the repetitive nature of it, I think, is what is part of what makes 3 6 music so essential, because there's very. It's almost like, and I think Patrick might have said this on a previous episode way back, but he was talking about how it kind of like beats you. They beat it into your skull, but you want it to like you wanted them to keep going. That's kind of that's how I would feel about the hooks on so many of like the best 3 6 songs.
Like, that's pretty on point. So probably wasn't me, but
no, I remember it was something about Juicy J hooks and how
well, yeah, we're super insistent, and you're kind of being pummeled with it, but you don't mind being pummeled with it. Like you kind of welcome the repetition. Like it's, I won't say comforting repetition, but I don't know. I feel like if we don't move on to the next album, this is going to be a 17-hour episode, so we should probably move on to Mystic Stylez. So
that's true. Well,
I was trying to work that pivot in a little while ago, but we missed.
It's my fault. It's
all good. Smoked Out Loced Out deserves a highlight. I just didn't want to accidentally I didn't want to be the guy that would end up derailing and started talking about like whatever bullshit I would end up talking about, like
more logic talk for reasons unknown. But do you guys, real quick, do you guys want to talk about Volume 1 before Mystic Stylez? Because Volume 1 was recorded, like, the comp is 91 and 94. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it came out in 99.
This is pedantic shit.
We might as well hit that real quick because the material was timeline-wise and the current. Yeah, we'll hit 91. Yeah, we'll hit Volume 1.
This is. I mean, I know we're probably everyone's gonna have to clear out for each other on this one. But on some days, this is my favorite album. Like it's probably my second favorite album if you really really had to make me choose. But it's. I've listened to this more times than I can count, and it's such a part of me, and I have so many life experiences tied to it. So, yeah, anything I say about this, listener, if you haven't heard this, which you probably have, if you could listen to one thing today, please listen to this album because it's like real life-changing stuff. It's hard not to overstate what a life-changing record this was. Mm-hmm. Was this your guys? I know you guys had listened to 3 6 songs and shit, but did you come to this after you had already heard a 3-6 album, or was this like the first actual full length you heard from 3-6? Because this was, I think, the second full length I heard from 3-6.
This was probably for me like one of like way later on that I heard their 3-6. To be honest, the first full length I probably heard was Most Known Unknowns. Then it was Unbreakables. Then When the Smoke Clears. I won't go listing the whole thing off, but I listened to, for context though, I listened to Underground Volume 3 actually before I listened to Volume 1, simply because the CD was being sold around me at the time. And I love Underground Volume 3 too, don't get me wrong. But then I saw, I'm not going to lie, I saw the acclaim it was getting on RYM, and I was like, all right, if this is better than Mystic Stylez, I really should listen to this. Like, 'cause at that point I had heard Mystic Stylez. Mystic Stylez was fucking awesome. And Underground Volume 1, dude, like, holy fucking shit. Like, there is, like, nothing on this planet that sounds like that fucking album. Like,
yeah.
It's just, like, it's 3-6 firing off on all cylinders every track. Even, like, Sucks on Dick, which is probably the weakest song on there, like, it's like a good interlude in between, like, Play Haters and what was the song before that one? I think
it's Now I'm High, Really High.
Yeah, it's like a good interlude for those, and I personally think Don't Be Scared is hilarious. Like, some people don't
be scared.
I fucking love that song, and it adds a lot of charm to the album. It's just like, because like I feel like with Mystic Stylez, like it's one of my favorite albums too, like way up there. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like it's while it's very consistent, I feel like it doesn't lean into the ridiculously crazy shit that 3-6 were doing at the time and as much. I think it was them trying to gussy up their sound a little bit at times to get a more wide-reaching appeal. I think you get that with songs like Long Night. Like, it's not like, obviously, like, lyrically it's not like mainstream at all, but like the beats more like traditional Dirty South Rap-A-Lot Records kind of beats, which is great. It's a great song, but it's more 3-6 trying to like fit in with the larger Southern hip hop sound at the time. Whereas like Underground Volume 1 is just like straight up the most ridiculous gutter Memphis shit you'll ever hear. It is strictly Memphis rap, and it's just like the instrumental tracks where they just loop the vocals. I had never heard anything in my life like that before I heard that on those songs. Yeah. And they were just so bold and adventurous. It's such a simple idea and so genuinely fun to listen to. I just never heard of anything that groundbreaking and that mind-blowing, but that simultaneously fun to listen to, because a lot of people, when you point out like ambitious, I'll just fucking say it, avant-garde kinds of art, it's often conflated with more like cerebral experience or some kind of grandiosity. This wasn't grandiose at all. It was just like Ghost was saying, unpretentious, but it was crazy shit. And it's just over time grown to be my favorite album ever. And there's nothing like just like the raw sounds from like the tape hiss and the ripping samples and the crazy ass 808s on there. I think they used an SP1200 at the time, but whatever. And just how many different styles of hip hop were basically being minted on that little inconspicuous album. It just blows my mind.
Yeah, I mean, there's like, from the time, Ride in the Chevy is almost like one of the warmer songs on there in a way. I love how it opens with we finally got a warm day in January, which is feel that, as it's usually fucking freezing out here in January.
Well, it's going to suck in January, by the way, because it's fucking, I know Kale can feel this shit. I don't know how it is out your way, Christian, but it's terrible right now.
I'm in New York right now, too. It's fucking horrible.
It's real
rough January.
Like right now, it already feels like it's like late December, and we're not even in December yet, and it's just pretty fucking brutal. So yeah, this album definitely been on repeat, just in general, not just for this episode. But yeah, Riding the Chevy, that beat, the way those keys come in, and like that has that little like dancing melody. It's just incredible. I mean, obviously you can go through every song. I mean, I love the Charging These Hoes hook, which of course is repeated ad nauseum with the force of the sledgehammer. The Now I'm High, Really High. I haven't mentioned my favorite 3-6 member yet, but Lord Infamous is one of my favorite rappers of all time. And Lord Infamous shines on that fucking song. That first verse, and he ends it with the, Lord Infamous, I keep clouds of smoke flying down my mouth. Like, it's so...
The echo.
Yeah. Oh. And like the intro hook to the song is like a minute long. Like the first minute of the song is just the hook. Like who else does that?
That's the best part of it too.
Yeah.
Especially when those like whacked out synths come in too. I believe that's live synthesizer too. I don't think that's a sample. When I try to look into where he got that sample, if it was a sample, I'm coming up short everywhere I look. So I would have to think, because Paul is the guy who made that beat by himself.
Right.
I would have to imagine that that's live synth, and that's fucking awesome. I don't know how the hell he made that sound happen, but I'm super glad he did.
Just thinking about it right now, thinking about what you were saying about how cheap the equipment was, how like low budget everything is, the use of repetition and how hypnotic it is. There's a lot of similarities between like 3-6, like that, like the Memphis sound they forged all in Juicy with these beats, and like dub reggae kind of. And like, yeah, the sort of, they both have a lot of like the way that the samples are used is very similar in both, like the repetitive sampling. I would say like the way 3-6 uses like those juicy hooks are very similar to a lot of the way like you'll have like Toaster Chants and like dub song, like looped in dub songs versions kind of.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that speaks to how influential toasting and dub music has been on hip hop, because that's like the art of rapping comes from toasting before it. And because like Cool DJ Herc was from Jamaica and he's the father of hip hop. And so a lot of his stylistic choices he would bring to the genre that would end up influencing everybody, including 3-6 Mafia, were derived from like traditional Jamaican music. And it's not a reach to assume that 3-6 had a lot of influence from that kind of music, as Lord Infamous regularly busts out like a patois, but like not in the corny Drake way. And then they flipped a Bob Marley song off of Exodus for a Project Pat beat that's fucking awesome. Called Smoking Out.
Noted 3-6 Mafia fan Drake, as anybody who's listened to his newest Sleeping Pill could tell from Knife Talk, for sure.
Sure. And past songs before where he's had references to that.
Oh yeah, he's been.
What was the? Well,
again, we've always said on the show that Drake's most endearing quality is when he's a rap nerd, and 3-6 has definitely been a consistent reference point for him. So.
No question. And how could you not? There's the back to back of Where the Blood At and Mask and the Glock. I mean, those two, I could give you the whole songs. I'm not gonna do that because who would want to hear me rap those songs? But I just mean they're so ingrained in my brain that if I hear the Where the Blood At, like it sounds, the intro sounds like almost like an evil like ticking clock scene in a horror movie, and you can just the imagery of Lord Infamous in the beginning talking about I want to commit all the murders when full of this ganja, like all that stuff, and he talks about
the polar opposite of how I feel when I'm stoned. But you know what? That's fucking.
The best part is what
specialize in making the most threatening possible weed songs imaginable, where you're like terrified of the idea of smoking weed with them. Like this relaxing experience that's supposed to make you feel like community. Like you do not want to smoke weed with these guys.
I would actually love threatening weed with Lord Infamous. If there was him and Juicy are the only people in the group that I would smoke weed with. Because Koopsta actually like scares me. Like he's an awesome guy. I don't think he's a bad dude either. Like an awesome rapper. I don't think he's a bad dude, but he's like a scary human being, and like I don't know if I want to get high with him because I feel like he would actually like try to talk me into like committing an armed robbery, and I'd be like, dude, I'm not doing that. Yeah.
Yeah. The best
Lord
part,
is, like, chill as fuck, dude. I love Lord Infamous's energy. Even when he's saying that crazy ass shit when he's high, that's like the best part. Because a lot of it's him just because, like, he had said in an interview, like, a lot of his horrorcore stuff, it was just to make a new spin on, like, the then saturated gangster rap market. Because he was just like, you know, I've been involved with lifestyles that are talked about in gangster rap and stuff, but I didn't want to, like, Memphis is an uncharacteristically fucked up city in America, so he wanted to really kind of lay it into people how dark it was out there, and B, he wanted to, like, put his own unique spin on the gangster rap motif that would set him apart from everything else that was coming out, especially in the South, which that was like the sound of the South was gangster rap through the 90s. So that kind of, like, creativity that he brought to his lyrics too, like, it's just fucking awesome. So I personally, even though he objectively sounds like fucking insane when he raps, just to be in that energy zone right there, just to, like, feel what he's like, what just to see him come up with these ideas while he's, like, off a blunt or something would be a 10 out of 10 experience for me personally. Rest in peace to Lord Infamous.
yeah, no question. Easily one of my favorite rappers, and someone that I constantly, like, blown away by listening to all the music. One thing on the Where the Butt At verse, because my favorite part is the second part of that first verse when he's talking about, like, smoke was so thick in my room I can't even see the fucking walls. Like, he's like, chase it down with 64 ounces of beer every day is a sequel. Then I want to go and murder some bitches with a 50 caliber Desert Eagle. Like, come on, it's so good.
The
like,
thing too,
how he crams all that into, like, one, and he's, like, kind of, like, almost skipping on the beat. It's just incredible.
that's the thing with Lord is, right, like, and 360 in general, is they can satisfy so many itches for somebody as a rap fan, right? Like, Migos would be the most obvious descendants of Lord Infamous's triplet flow and, like, that influence that it had on hip hop. And Migos are great, but they're not really lyrically inclined. They have really good flows and make good punchlines and stuff. Lord had the exact same flow, was better at doing it, and he could rap. Like, Juicy J can rap well, but it's more like Dr. Dre kind of rapping. Like, it's fun, just kind of meant to narrate over the beat. Like, Lord Infamous, you could put him on, like, you know, up against some of the best rappers ever, and he will, at his best, have, like, verses that compete with some of the best rappers you've ever heard. Like, his verse on the song Mystic Styles, his second one, like, he had two verses on that, is in fucking insane. His verse on Riding in the Chevy on Underground Volume 1, ridiculous. And that's what I think, that's why I love the group so much, why I love Underground Volume 1 so much, and why I love Lord Infamous so much as a rapper, is that they have all the fun and bounce of, like, modern trap music, but Lord has the bars of, like, a well-rehearsed student of the game circa 1990s hip-hop. And you can see that shine on songs like Play Haters, which his verse, to start that song off with that verse, is in fucking insane. That verse is so good. And he's still hitting the triplet flow like crazy. It's raw as fuck.
Yeah, it's a one-of-one, like, rapper. And the way that, you know, people praise, and rightfully so, you know, many of the great, you know, rappers that are, you know, lyrically inclined and whatnot from any era for, you know, imagery and kind of like a poeticism almost. Like, Lord Infamous is the same way. You know, what I just talked about, what I just, you know, poorly rapped in that verse is that imagery in that sequel. Like, it's so haunting and effective at creating a mood and tone and, like, establishing a vibe, you know, kind of like what Patrick has said previously. So yeah, there's not enough good things I can say about Lord Infamous. Same with this album, and stuff like Time for the Juice Man, when he just, like, saying, like, get the fuck away from me, ho, 10 times. That like that shit combined with that.
You stole my fucking bit, man. That was what I was talking about, my favorite moment of the album.
That shit right there was literally my fucking alarm clock for, like, a year of college. I swear to God. That is that shit is why I love rap music so much. Like right there, you know what I mean? And it's like I'm gonna be that guy, but it's like if you don't like it, I just don't think you get it. Like you gotta get it.
100%.
Yeah, you just have to get it because once it locks in with you, it never leaves you, and that's just. I mean, yeah, Patrick, obviously can talk about this album and that song, but that song, like "Time for the Juice Man," like
I was just going to quote that song,
and that is all. CJ did that whole beat.
Yeah, he did.
To attest to his production skill, like that beat is one of my favorite beats on the tape, dude. And the best part is like, is that "Get the Fuck Away from Me, Ho" is a sample from a Pimp C verse on Too Hard to Swallow.
Yeah. No, and you know it's funny because I had heard the original Pimp C, the original UGK song after that.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, is that what I think it is?
Yeah, no, I did double take when I heard that for the first time. And yeah, that shit and like the instrumental tracks on there are so fun. I don't mean to derail, dude. It's just I'm talking about my favorite album of all time right now.
No,
like,
go off.
So I'm a little impassioned at the moment. Like the instrumental tracks on there, like "Time for the Juice Man" is next to "Paul with the 45," my favorite instrumental track on there. But just like they flexed so goddamn hard on those tracks, and there's nothing in hip hop that sounds like that. Like you can tell it was influenced by like some of the instrumental like interludes on like Public Enemy albums and Eric B. and Rakim albums, but they didn't take those were like interludes. You knew those were interludes. On these are full-bodied songs that you could ostensibly call the best tracks in the 3 6 Mafia catalog, and it would not be a weird praise to give them at all. Whereas like you wouldn't call like "Chinese Arithmetic" by Eric B. and Rakim one of the best Eric B. and Rakim songs. And it's just like I can't even just like it's such a densely like "Time for the Juice Man" is such a densely layered beat with those jarring swishes, like switching from like this synth arpeggio that he got from a movie score. I forgot the song, or the movie rather, but it was from a movie score because I looked up the samples. So like I literally love that fucking song. And then it just has this sharp transition into like a somewhat soulful instrumental with the harsh Pimp C lyrics of "Get the fuck away, get the fuck away, get the fuck away from me, ho." And it's like going on and on and on and on. It's like, it's so fucking cool, dude. It's so good. There's nothing in music that's quite like that. No,
also shout out to the intro to Mask and the Glock with the "Here Comes the Pain" from Carlito's Way.
Yep.
Speaking of movie samples, yeah, that's crazy. And the fucking Mask and the Glock peak imagery again. Once again, these all so many 3 6 songs have this imagery rather, but he's talking about like Glock spot, busting, people ducking, like it's like describing basically catching somebody slipping, but everybody else is confused and you can't see anything. It's like you're just having like evil thoughts. It's so bleak, but also it's kind of it's playing it up. It's like a horror movie. It's really
like
effective
going over the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, like looking through the reviews on RYM, you see a lot of people talking about how this album is like, best appreciated when it's 3 a.m., you haven't slept, you're on a bunch of substances, you're feeling evil, something's off. Like, it just has that hallucinogenic quality to it in terms of the instrumentals, that it's just narcotic. Like, and what I think about it in terms of 3 6 is that all of their albums have like specific runs that I love more than anything, whereas this album is that run essentially. Like, it's compilation. It's like front to back, like the best run of any 3 6 album isolated, front to back. And I guess you could say "Sucks on Dick," whatever. I don't mind it. I
think it works well.
I generally for like I will say I skip it. Like, unless I'm like doing something where I'm too late. Like, I have no unless I'm doing something where I'm not going to, like, where I'm indisposed and I can't access to skip. Like, I won't go out of my way to skip it, I will say that. But generally, like, if I have access to skip, like if I'm right there on my computer or something, I'll skip it. I'll say that. So yeah, it does have, I would say, a skip. So if like your whole concept of like a perfect album has no skips, I will say this has like something I would
And it's funny because, like, that's probably, like, I don't usually skip it, but if I had to skip a song on there, that would be the only song I'd skip. I also wouldn't not want it on the album.
I mean, I have nothing against it being there. Like, it
makes the album.
But I would say a real good run, like the album itself is like the best run on any other 3-6 album, like for the course of a whole album. And by the way, the other thing this has over other 3-6 albums, it's an hour. All their albums, with the exception of Smoked Out, Loped Out, are like 70, 80, 90 fucking minutes. It feels like they're really long ass albums. Like that, like there's so much content, and like they start getting to put all the skits on there and shit. Like, and the skits get less charming when they're newer albums. Like, this is the perfect length, I think, for a 3-6 album. Like, you can repeat this shit. I would say. But I think the best stretch on here is Paul with the 45 through to Time for the Juice Man. Like, perfect. Just absolutely fucking perfect. Front to back. That specific stretch.
Well, you could throw in, the walk up to your house too in there.
Yeah, you're right. Walk up to your house.
You're
right. Yeah. So
and basically the perfect run on this is the whole thing. Is what you're saying.
Well, but you're right. But
I know. I'm being facetious. For me, I would just start naming the whole track list.
Although the first two, it also has like a legendary beginning too. The first two tracks, perfect. Fucking.
They're both 6-minute songs, and they could be 20, and I wouldn't care. Like, that's just.
This also has quality similar to a screw tape in that way too. I feel like, where you just got like passing off of verses, like the beats that feel like they can go on forever. Like, it has that sort of quality to it.
Mm-hmm.
No question.
I really have nothing bad to say about this, except for Sucks on Dick is something that I skip when I have immediate access to the skip button, but I'm not super mad at it. So it's not a perfect album, but it's pretty goddamn close. And it's just full of shit you want to play over and over again. It's some of the absolute best. Like, when you say ignorant music, like, a lot of people say that, like, it almost feels like it's a super backhanded compliment. But I mean that in the absolute most complimentary way possible when talking about, like, this album and the follow-up album. And, like, anything good 3. Like, there's no there is there conscious 3-6? Like, they ever, like, throw on a conscious cut, like, or an actual, like, token, like, you know what I mean? Do they ever even do that? Like,
I mean, like, here or there touched on stuff, but I wouldn't call any one song that have conscious hip hop.
Yeah, like, they never had like the E40s ending his album with like rapping over a piano about how he doesn't want to sell cocaine anymore. Then he's going to put out 3 more albums in the next week about how he sells so much cocaine.
Yeah,
so
true. He had to do it.
He couldn't help himself, I guess, but he's really, really sad at himself about it on one song.
He was put in a bind, but
But yeah, like 3-6, like, when I say ignorant, like, that's just generally, they never have any when you say unpretentious too, it's just like, there's never, it just wants to be fun fucking music, or it just wants to paint a vivid image of what, like, I don't want to say it's simple, like, I'm tripping over my words here. It's not simple. But
straightforward.
Simple feels like an insult, but it kind of is simple.
Well, it's simple in how it, and this is an overused word these days when talking about music, but to me, it's simple in how it, like, just viscerally affects you.
Yeah, it's visceral. Yeah. It's visceral.
It doesn't need to explain to you why it's good.
It's visceral
and why you like
complex, but that's not fair because the beats are often very complex, actually.
Yeah.
So
that's what I would say. It's more like, if I had to use a word, I use like straightforward. Like, they don't beat around the bush. They come stomping out of the gate with some of the hardest.
They are, There's a lot of stomping imagery. Like, that's definitely like a
literally Juice J and some of his verses stomping. Make it sound crazier.
Yeah. No.
Like, there was a really good.
And chew on those beats, you notice how many layers there are and the amazing sample flips and stuff and the crazy drum programming, especially with Paul. Like, on They Done Fucked Up. Those hats, dude, that's something that Metro will be doing, like, right now.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah, definitely. I really can't think. I'm just trying to think of specific examples of the drums, too, because you're right. It's like he would throw some of the craziest, just, like, non-traditional drum programming into shit. And the most specific example I could think of is like 2 albums from here. So I kind of want to move again. Like, I don't want to dwell on, but this is just hit after hit, really. Like,
yeah. This
it's not
is
fair because they get to pick from 5 years, but it just shows how good they were from the jump. That these are their first 5 years, and this is what you get.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is, I mean, Chris, like you said, this is Christian's favorite album. This is, my favorite rap album, probably my second or first favorite, depending on the day. So it's just, it's like essentially become the whole cliche where it's like a part of you, yeah, but it really is like. So yeah, I'm gonna listen to that. I've been listening to this for years. Gonna listen to it for years to come. This hasn't aged a day. So, and the same could be said for Mystic Stylez. On to that one. Another non-stop hit after hit album.
Right, you're not going to hear too much bad shit for quite a while in this. Like, eventually you will hear some less than.
We're gonna sound like a broken record, or rather, we're gonna sound like a hook on a 3-6 song with the same shit. We're gonna keep repeating the title.
Yeah. I think what I liked about Mystic Stylez the most was that it still had that like dingy, low budget sound in a good way, in like a Wu-Tang Clan style way. Like, yeah, it's supposed to sound like that. But they clean it up just enough so that some of the more crude distortions you'd hear on like a Smoked Out, Loped Out, or some of their solo tapes aren't there. So it's just smoothed over enough so that it doesn't sound like you have to like remaster it before you can play it out loud. Otherwise it'll blow a speaker out. But it's like damn close in the best way possible. And I love the whole thing. Feels like a slasher movie. Like it's just this most intense, rugged, deranged sound that you get from it. And it's probably the most, as far as like a proper studio album, it's easily the most complete 3-6 studio album they've ever made. It's just so consistent. It's a great summation of what they were experimenting with between 1990, 1991 into 95 when they dropped it. Has some of their best beats and best songs on there ever. Lord Infamous is on fire rapping on that thing. That's his best rap performance ever, in my opinion, is on that album. It's not my favorite album, but it is like in my top 20. I fucking love it. It's amazing.
Yeah, I think what draws me to this over this is my favorite, I would say, of their albums. Although now that I think about it, I wasn't really considering Underground. I guess everybody else does consider Underground a proper one of their albums. I guess I was just like, oh, it's a compilation, whatever. It has songs that are repeated. But no, I guess it is. Like, it really is. So I guess, but I was going into the episode thinking that this was my favorite of their albums. And I think it is because it really does appeal to that Wu-Tang itch, like you were talking about, where it's like it's made to sound dirty. And yeah, Wu-Tang was made on a budget too. And that's kind of how RZA compensated for that, was he established his own aesthetic of, intentionally being like a broken VHS tape, essentially. And that's the sort of thing like Alchemist would pick up later on. And any number of producers. And I think 3-6 is kind of like the southern answer to that a little bit, at least on this album too. And I feel like this is kind of shares kind of the same space as Gravediggers, the first two Gravediggers albums, at least. And like Infamous's rapping performance on it, you can kind of compare to like RZA or Fruquan, the two best rappers on those, like in terms of just like both technicality, absurdness, and just be on a very, very high level. Like, for sure. I would say, no bad song. Well, I'd end it one track soon. I mean, Porno Movie's fine, but it's just like, I
actually love Porno Movie personally.
I'm not ever super into their sex songs, so like
they are. I will say they are the best of any rap group or artist sex songs. On the scale.
That is like the absolute fucking like lowest bar you could ever come up with, though.
It's true. It's true. But compare it to the era,
Yeah, that is true, and it's fine. It's just like it ends like the title track's perfect. It's the title track. It feels like, I mean, you can put Porno Movie a little somewhere else. I don't think it needs to end on it. Like, I'd say that. Like, you can keep it if you really want to, because it's a decent enough song. My least favorite song on there. When you stick it on at the end, you can skip it, but like you have the title track right there, and it's so good. So right after that run of Tear the Club Up and Big Business, like 2-minute, like perfect little, just feels like it just has a perfect ending run. And then, I mean, I like the instrumental for sure. fits it. But
yeah, I think the instrumental's pretty sick. Although Big Business, good point. That's a crazy song.
Yeah, no, I think that that like again, I feel like there's a perfect ending run, and then it just kind of trails off. That's what I would say. I feel like I'm coming up with like one credit. Like I had the same thing with Smoked Out, Loped Out, I guess, where it's like the one thing, and then even Underground. Like I guess there's always like one song I would lose, but it's like I could lose it, but I don't necessarily have to.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not like deal-breakingly fucking bad. And I'm trying to think of an example of like a deal-breakingly bad album, a song on like an otherwise classic album.
All right,
Mamacita.
There you go.
Mamacita hook. For probably the worst thing.
The beat on that's a pretty good song, but
yeah, the beat on that is. I like the beat on that song, but I get it.
I mean, you could also say "Drunken Hot Girls" maybe, but
yeah,
that's how the fuck you sound. No.
That is a perfect. That and the Mos Def bridge are amazing, but it's also a 5-minute song, and those are like add up to like 30 seconds of a 5-minute song. But there's never anything like that on a 3-6 album. There's just like one song where I'm like, it's not as good as the rest. And generally, it's a place where it's incredibly easy to skip. So,
no, that's fair. That's fair. I can. I'm
a big fan of porno movie, but to each their own.
Yeah, I think it's
I'm not.
The sample sells it for me. That beat's just so hypnotic. Like they could make
the beat is great. Like I just don't. Really, the raps are like probably the least appealing for me, but the beat is excellent. The beat fits with where like the rest of the beats on the album and the way the whole final third sounds too. It fits with it. So.
But then make me rap about like a PowerPoint, and I would totally like it just because of that beat alone. I don't know.
I'm kind of with Christian on that, but I can get what Patrick's saying because I think it's where it's placed probably.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, I'm just saying you could move it maybe up a few tracks before Tear the Club Up, because I think once you have Tear the Club Up in there and then you do that last 3-song run, that's like impeccable, and I don't want to fuck with that.
Right.
That would be my argument there. Because I feel like I'm not trying to shit on the song so much, even though it's, like I said, like my least favorite, but it's still a perfectly good song with a great beat. And the beat itself fits. And the beat itself is actually a perfectly fine beat to close the album too, because it's so fucking hypnotic. So I do get it.
Yeah. No,
anyway, yeah. But I don't want to be too negative about it. Break, like, fucking first 2 songs on here are amazing too. I don't know if they're as good as the ones on Underground, but they're still fucking amazing.
Break the Law is as good as anything that's ever made. That beat rips.
As good as any beat in the history of rap. It's like I'm saying, like, and the echoes, like break the law, like, come on. That's just there's tough to find any better opener that you could find. And then they're like, all right, we're going to follow it up with this track. It's going to be soulful. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to have great personal anecdotes. Lord Infamous he's going to go see his friends by the beach, but first he's got to sacrifice people to the devil. Going to get there.
Great way to spend your summer.
I would love to spend my summer with that. Like, who doesn't need to sacrifice things to deities before going to hang out with their friends,
Just Memphis things.
Yeah, God, that's a perfect fucking song. Two back to back, but that song just like when you hear that hook for the first time, it's tough to even describe like what it's like. But that song is the epitome of timeless, which I know is an overused, expression in music, from a lot of music fans and in art in general. But that's a timeless fucking song.
For sure.
Yeah. Also, shout out to Koopsta. We'll get to him on the other episode, but just shout out to Koopsta because killed it.
Recipes too.
Recipes, absolutely. Sweet Robbery is also one of my favorites.
I don't know what the hell the sample in the background is, or if it's a synthesizer, but that shit is bizarre, dude.
Yeah. Doesn't sound like anything. Like it's a wholly original. And it follows Long Night, which is what you were talking about previously.
Mm-hmm.
About how like nuts that song is. Who did that song? Was that Paul or Juicy?
I think it was like a mutual effort.
Okay. Because some of the credits aren't like explicit, whether it's on Our Way or on other places.
Yeah.
Like, they're just like, oh yeah, this person was an engineer, and it's just like executive
they
producer.
did do a lot of like collaboration on the beats too. Like it wasn't just Paul did some and Juicy did some, although that did happen.
Yeah.
Juicy was better at scratching and picking out samples. Paul was better at drum programming and playing the synthesizer. So when they would work together, that's how they would often combine their beat making talents. And it was evidently pretty successful. But to your point, to answer your question rather, that beat was like a mutual effort of like Juicy's strengths and Paul's strengths.
Right. And I knew that they had done some beats together mutually. I just, some of the way that the credits were like unclear. So
for sure.
Good. Good to know. But and then of course, I mean, Tear the Club Up, because why not? One of the multiple variations of Tear the Club Up, but can't go wrong with that on a 3-6 album there toward the end. So yeah, there's not much I can say about this that I haven't said about the first two albums we talked about. So do you guys have anything in particular you want to add? Because I mean, this is like 5-star, one of my favorites, but I don't know how you guys how you guys feel.
I'm in the same boat. It's way up there as one of my favorite albums. No real low points. I think it's just a matter of preference that I like Underground Volume 1 more. I don't really think it's too much of a difference in just raw quality. I think it's just one of those like seminal rap albums that you kind of just have to listen to.
Yeah, I think this is probably up there on any list of things. Like if you go to any Southern hip hop, guidebook, or even hopefully hip hop period guidebook, they would have this album up there. But who knows how? I still think we've gotten over the East Coast bias of yesteryear, but it's still sort of a hangover there. It's not as, it's the internet age now, so no one really cares, but there's still a little bit of that.
The old guard starts to like get phased out, though. That'll change. It seems to be slowly changing.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely, with the more and more younger generation that's so deeply influenced by them coming up and making music that just gets the critical attention and cachet. With each artist that's influenced by them that becomes a critical favorite, they more and more themselves get critically reappraised, I would say. And the bias against the South is it's not like it was 20 years ago where, Andre had to yell, quit hating the South at an award show, Bun and Pimp, or all I'm sure a lot of the aggression in 3-6's music came from that too. And eventually their willingness to compromise, which was way more than Outkast or UGK's, was because of the bias against Southern music. They did go overtly crunk, but they also went I would never say softer, but they went more accessible.
Yeah.
So, because there was that, and I think they also leaned into the stereotypes of, oh, you want some dumb Southern music, we'll give you dumb Southern music. We're not going to be scary anymore. We'll be fun. So
yeah, I can see that.
But here, they're this definitely feels to me more of a piece, like you said, Wu-Tang, Gravediggers. It's in the discussion, I think, was something Lab Cabin California and Bizarre Ride, the early 90s classic posse albums with distinctive revolutionary ass production that just changed everything. The production was probably, they'd done stuff similar before, but I don't think it ever was as cohesive as it was here, before or since. That's why it's my favorite. And Underground, you can't argue cohesion on necessarily because it's a compilation. For a compilation, it's incredibly cohesive, but this was by design the way it was.
For sure.
The sessions were this way. And again, you have just fucking remarkable ass performance by Koopsta, Lord Infamous, just juicy. The rapping on it, I think, is probably the best rapping on any 3-6 album.
I would say that too.
So I think that's why it probably is. If you had to say one canon 3-6 album, it would probably be this one. I think Underground probably has more fucking front to back heaters on it, I would say. But in terms of an album structuring wise, just overall like performances, like I think it's more fair. Like it's not really fair to compare compilation to this. I think Mystic Stylez is their best album overall. The production might be a little more interesting on some of the Paul and Juicy tapes, though, I will say. So,
yeah, no, I can get with, I can get that. It's definitely I mean, I keep repeating myself, but it just feels like something that nobody else could have made. So, it'll always be extremely special and important to me as an album. You know, Christian, I'm sure you feel the same way. All right, so
we can move on now to the end, not of the episode. That's not going to be for quite a while, but, well, am I missing anything? And the end is the next one, right?
Yep.
Yeah, the end, which is also, I believe, their first Pen and Pixel cover.
That it is.
Which is not the most outlandish Pen and Pixel cover, honestly.
I always thought 3/6's Pen and Pixel covers were, like, actually, like, okay. Like, I wouldn't call them great, but they were, like, not, like, BG, Chopper City terrible, you know.
Actually,
whoa! We're
looking at it. Like,
not gonna insult the BG cover, are we? That's crazy.
I did not expect that to be where the conflict arose here.
Whoa! I love those type of covers.
Oh, I don't knock that album.
I agree. I'm actually quite fond of the Pen and Pixel covers. Like, but I'm looking at this one. It actually is kind of absurd. They appear to be on some sort of spaceship.
It's like 3/6 Star Wars.
Yeah, I guess they've rocketed into space on the Prophet Entertainment. I don't know if it's supposed to be like a car that's also a spaceship or something.
It's kind of like a hovercraft, right? That's what.
Yeah, I guess it's a hovercraft, and they're above Earth, which is also there's like an island going off of Earth for some reason. Is Earth like? I guess. Oh yeah, it's the end. Oh, Earth is they're escaping Earth because Earth is blowing up.
Yes.
I get it. So yeah, this is like yet another, like, it was Y2K era, so every rapper had to put out some giant album about how the world was going to end. Like Busta Rhymes did like 7 of these.
He just made a new one too.
Yeah, he's still doing it.
Wait, that has the same topic?
It loosely dwells around it. I mean, you could already guess the coronavirus references on that.
Oh yeah. Oh god, I can already picture the COVID puns. They're really painful.
Nothing says like an album I want to listen to like somebody rapping extremely fast about the coronavirus. That's a banger.
Busta Rhymes screaming at you in double time about why you're an idiot for wearing a mask doesn't make you want to put down $10 on Apple Music.
You've got we're the real problems. You know, we got the vaccine. Busta's not about that.
You know, after listening to Extinction Level Event 2, I didn't make it through the whole thing because I'm not listening to a full Busta Rhymes album in 2020. But what I got from that dude is, you know, we live in a society. That's what I got. we are here in a society living.
And you know what? He's not wrong. He's not wrong. We are living in a society. Does he at one point don any Joker clown mask or no?
I didn't make it far enough into it to know. I don't believe he did.
Other people who have been disillusioned by society include the members of 3/6 Mafia.
Well, can we real quick, Christian? I think there's a YouTube documentary or of sorts about 3/6. I'm not sure if you've seen it, but it's got a lot of views and shit.
I think I saw it once a while ago. It was on Vice, right?
No. It was a random guy who was like a big.
Yeah.
Oh, god damn it!
It's like
I forget.
A 2-part series, right?
It's a 2-part series. Yep. All right, I'm botching the YouTube channel's name, so shout out to that guy. This is a terrible recommendation. Terrible recommendation.
He's going to get.
Yeah, I don't know the name. It's got like thousands of views. I saw it just come across my timeline when I was listening to 3/6 songs on YouTube. But I saw it years ago. One of the cool things about it is it talks about how Memphis as a city was kind of like really disenfranchised compared to a lot of other major cities in America at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not sure how much in-depth research or anything you've done as it relates to 3/6, but I mean, the people in Memphis, especially of who weren't exactly, who were in like impoverished areas rather, were pretty just cast aside from my research.
Memphis for a while was like the murder capital of the United States too in the 90s.
And a lot of like the crack epidemic stuff really hit it. I mean, brutally.
Yeah.
Even compared
I remember there was a Project Pat interview that just came out. And he was saying how he was like a hometown hero when he was growing up because he was one of the few people in his neighborhood who knew how to read. Like, it was that bad.
Yeah. I mean, about as bleak as it gets. Which I guess
down to their music.
Right, which is a good point when connecting it to the music and how, I mean, it's absolutely it's like diamond in the rough stuff, because so many people fail to escape the terrible circumstances that you're put in, when you're placed in that environment, through no fault of their own, obviously. But it's just like, I mean, even hearing you give that anecdote from the Project Pat interview is like really bone chilling stuff to me.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's horrible to even think about how like that's a reality
in our own country too. It's nuts.
Yeah. So it's just incredible that you're able to produce this art and through the circumstances, which is kind of like, I just wanted to bring it up to see if you knew that documentary, because I was going to recommend it to people listening to this episode to watch it, but now I'm watching the title and I don't have time to go to YouTube to look it up. But there is a good 3 6 Mafia 2-part documentary out there that has some cool like archive footage and
generally rely on Wyatt to fill this stuff in after the fact.
Yeah, he'll find
a link for us.
If I find it, I'll have Wyatt put the link in the description. So we'll move on. So this episode doesn't take 800 years, but just wanted to bring that up. Any thoughts on the end from either one of you? Because I love this album, but I'm going to sound like a broken record. So
I like the end a lot. I think it's I don't think it's their best album post Mystic Stylez. I think it's dancing around being like a regional classic for Memphis, but I wouldn't really call it that necessarily. It's not a knock though. It's a really consistent, solid album. I just think 3 6, especially Paul and Juicy as producers, we're kind of trying to figure out how to like finesse their crazy, eerie sound, but adapt it to like a more mainstream palette. And there are moments on there where I feel like they haven't quite grasped the ability to do that yet. But then there's also moments on there like Last Man Standing and what's that one song where the Killers Hang, where the beats are unfucking real, as good as anything they did in the early 90s. So I think it was a good transitional album, and I think in many respects it has must listen to music from the group.
Yeah, I mean it has stuff like Into Deep and Late Night Tip, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Stomp once again with the stomping imagery. Like you said, I mean, Body Parts is one of my favorites.
Body Parts is crazy.
Body Parts is, you could argue, one of their best songs. Like, I wouldn't disagree with you if you said that. So, yeah. And Life or Death at the end, too, was probably one of my favorite closers from them. So
that instrumental is tough. And then they actually had some of the Killer Clan Kazi.
Yeah.
They had them rapping over that on the Prophet Posse album from 1998.
Right. Which is a sick album.
Yep.
Yeah, which I'm sure we'll talk to in a different episode. But yeah, that's a sick album. Patrick, where would you place this in your 3-6 hierarchy?
This is kind of, it's not top tier for me. I like it a lot, but I agree with what Christian said about them trying to fit into a more mainstream template with it, because I feel like the middle third is got a lot of like really up tempo, brighter stuff. I would say, like brighter, relatively speaking. They're never going to make like super happy, jaunty music or anything.
Yeah.
But I think by their standards, the stuff like, I have to ramp the track list now. I'm sorry, because I don't know off the top of my head song names on this one, because this was one that I had only heard once or twice going into it. So great radio here, obviously. Late Night Tip, I believe I knew a Screw Tape. That's the one where it's like something long relationships. That's but hit me on that late night tip. That's late night tip, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's a really good version of that on a famous Screw tape. But
I think so too. Now that you mention it,
yeah, but it's escaping me because when I heard that hook, I was like, "Oh fuck, that's." So
I don't think it's one of the. It's not one of the big Screw tapes, but it's a classic.
Maybe I want to say Indonesia, maybe, or not like big time or something.
No, not one of like the instantly like recognizable.
I don't think it's on Indonesia. Isn't Indonesia straight West Coast stuff?
Yeah, Indonesia
right.
is West Coast stuff.
I'll think of it later, but yeah, that one's good. Like that, I just wanted to mention that because that immediately resonated with me. But as far as the bright stuff goes, Good Stuff was like the happiest 3-6 song I can remember hearing.
Yeah.
But I really like what they do with the sample on that beat. It's really bright and warm. But yeah, I feel like that run from basically late night tip, I wouldn't say is like bright or anything, but it's actually no, I would say Gotchi Shaken after late night tip is probably the run from Gotchi Shaken to Good Stuff is definitely like a run of them kind of feeling out a little more of a mainstreamish, like up tempo type feel to stuff. Mm-hmm. But then once you got Walk Up to Your House, In Too Deep, Last Man Standing, that 1, 2, 3 run is just as mean as anything they've ever done.
Oh, for sure.
Like just fucking ridiculous. In Too Deep, I think is showing up on like at least 2, maybe 3 of their album. I don't care. It's that good. It might be my favorite thing on here. But that run is, again, like I feel like every 3-6 album, and normally they're in the middle too. I think that's a good conscious sequencing choice. Like they always start off really strong. For the most part, like the shitty albums are just shitty, and there's only really one of those. And they start off really strong. And they always have like the heart of the album, or one of the best songs. I feel like, and here that would be Walk Up to Your House through to Last Man Standing. And Where's the Bud's amazing too. I love that fucking beat.
Yeah. Where is the bud? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lord has a great verse on that one too.
Yeah. I agree. And you could also just Control-C. Lord has a great verse and just put it on most songs that he's been on. So I'm not gonna say anything different than what these guys just said. Like, I love this. I might like it a little more than Christian and Patrick, but I'm not sure if it's my favorite of theirs post Mystic Stylez, but it could be. Oh no, it's not. It's not. There's another one, but it's one of their best post Mystic Stylez, no question. And it got a lot of listens from me last year, actually, around the time. I think I might have inspired KP to listen to it because I was posting songs in the Discord at one point, like last summer, and I think he checked it out. So if I did,
there's no telling what inspires him to listen to that.
It's true. I'm giving myself way too much credit for what inspires Wyatt to listen to things. So sorry, Wyatt. Don't let me get in your way. Yeah, but I guess we'll do World Domination next. Chapter 2.
Were these the same sessions? Like, I assume they were the same sessions. Like, this is all recorded at the same time because they came out. Well, the end came out December 96.
This is 97. So probably not, but this is also a 22-song album, so maybe.
October 97. I thought they came out a lot closer. Never mind. I thought they were a lot closer. Yeah. I was relatively like they sound very similar to me, but this one's a lot. I feel like this one's a lot harder. I like this one more because it's a lot harder. I feel like, and it also has the weirdest. I think Prophet Posse is the weirdest beat they've done post Mystic Stylez, and I love it.
Mm-hmm. What draws me to World Domination so much because I think World Domination is fucking fantastic. I think that's another classic in the belt for 3-6 Mafia. And I think what it is that on the end they were trying to make like a cleaned up version of the scuzzy Memphis sound that they had going on, and it worked, but it felt like a little derivative compared to some of their older stuff. This was like they started leaning more into the crunk sound on a lot of these tracks. And it basically took like the menace from their old songs, but then turned it into aggression. And that's where you'd get songs like Body Parts 2 was off the fucking wall. And then Tear the Club 97 became a hit song. And there were other tracks on there like 3-6 in the morning. That beat's fucking crazy on there. Yeah, I think honestly it's like their tightest crunk album that they ever made. And I think it's like a must listen, frankly, for the group. One of the best albums in 1997. Killer production. And I think they started to get a real handle on channeling some of the darker sounds a little more effectively on that album, like on songs like "We Just Got Me High" or whatever. Like they're definitely more in the pocket there with their more classic sound. But then their push towards crunk, I think, really helps add some flavor to that album that was indicative that they weren't losing any steam from their heyday, even if they were moving in a new direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I would say that like songs like "I Ain't Your Friend," which is it's a crazy song. That stuff is super underrated in the general track list because there are like other hits on there.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, insane. You mentioned in your review, which I'm skimming through now, but is a really good review as usual. It has like that more classic sound where it's like part of a section of songs on the track list that gives it like a balance where you have like the energetic like early crunk stuff and then you have like the really dark shit. And yeah, this is a really great record, and it has a level of cohesion to it like all 3-6 does, or most of 3-6 does, where it's like a merging of what they were going to do with their albums to follow and what they had already given us.
And I thought what was cool about World Domination too is you could clearly see them moving towards a more mainstream sound, but it wasn't with a shred of compromise to their artistic integrity, nor like what they like were going for in their music the whole time. It was still like raw, straightforward, hitting you in the chest kind of music, just more geared towards parties now, or like mosh pits basically, rather than like, you know, driving up to somebody's house before you rob it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now they're actually staying at the party as opposed to just robbing it and leaving.
Or burning the house.
Or burning the house down, in the case of, you know, but
gosh, the world domination, part in quotes in the title is pointed. You know, it's a real. That's the goal. They would get there ultimately, but this was a big step toward that. And it's an excellent record. I probably should even bump my rating up, but I rate all their shit very, very highly. So.
I think that Christian had made a very good point about how the menace had to change to aggression to go with the crunk sound, because I feel like it used to be like much more a creeping tempo to stuff, and it's gotten more bombastic, which I think is going to eventually be blown way the fuck up once you get to, Unbreakables and Most Known Unknowns. So yeah, it is definitely predicting where they're going to go, but still fully with one foot in the early Mystic Stylez smoked out, loped out sound. Like, the rapping's still fully in that lane. It's still very, very tough, dark concepts, even if the songs themselves are starting to get to be more party oriented. Like, it's still like there might be a party, but they're still going to beat the shit out of you if you look at them wrong.
Mm-hmm. Hence, tear the club up. They're in the club at this point. They're not like in a basement getting stoned and plotting on how to like dismember a body, but they are at the party, but they're also going to beat the shit out of you at the party.
Right. And they're not your friend. They devote an entire song to letting you know they're not your friend.
No, they are distinctly not your friend. And they make it very clear.
Very late 90s rap concept album intro, I would say, because it starts off 3 times.
It's true. I agree.
Which is just very different for them, because normally they have come out very assertive with like their best songs, and this one starts off with like a skit, then like a skit / robbery, then a brief song about a robbery / murder, and then eventually, like, and it's a good song, but then it's like track 4 when you finally start getting like the album really properly starts. So just an interesting structural choice. So kind of getting more ambitious in a lot of ways, not just in the fact that they're like expanding their sonic palette, kind of reaching towards definitely like, I wouldn't say mainstream, but more wide regional acceptance, I would say, like at least among the South, like radio play amongst other Southern regions, maybe like clubs across the country, but they're not trying to get played on like Hot 97 or anything. Like that's not where the crossover attempt is here. It is definitely a crossover record, but not in like I would never call it a sellout record for that. Like not in a million years.
No.
Sure.
Ironically, the funk flex bomb would be pretty apt over some of these songs right now.
I think there's like almost a funk flex bomb on 3-6 in the morning and Tear the Club Up. It's not like an actual funk flex bomb, but there's a bomb sound effect on both those songs.
The echoes of funk flex yelling in your ear about how hard this shit is.
The tinnitus from Funk Flex yelling in your ear.
It's flavor in your ear, but it's funk flex in your ear.
We invented
that was
tinnitus, right?
that was tough. That was a laugh of one right there. That was brutal. All right, I'll move on before.
Yeah, that was a pity laugh. I'm sorry.
That was tough. That was tough.
I will say, by the way, that I do like how they integrate the songs from the end on here. By the way, I actually like the placements of Late Night Tip and In Too Deep better here than on the previous album. Because I think Late Night Tip is like, it's a really good song, but it's such a slow, lurchy song that it works better on the back end than it does up front.
I agree.
For sure.
That's pretty much all I got. I really like this album.
Right.
It's one of my favorites of theirs. I really enjoyed listening to it again.
Yeah, no, I think we all kind of said our piece, so I guess we'll move on to Crazy and Crazy and the Last Days? Yeah, that's what I thought it was. Yeah.
I actually did not listen to this one because it's not technically a 3-6 Mafia album, and I only realized that today, so I have nothing to say on this. But
true. It's one of the many iterations of 3-6.
They're compared to Club Up Thugs of 3-6 Mafia.
Of 3-6, yes.
They're kind of like revamping the Backyard Posse with the lineup too, because it's Paul, Juicy, and Lord Infamous, which is it was cool. It's a good album. I think there's some filler at this point. I'd say this is alongside The End, one of the albums where there's I don't think there's filler on World Domination. I think that's a fucking crazy album. I do think there's filler on The End, and I do think that there's filler on CrazyNLazDayz, but some of the best moments on CrazyNLazDayz, like Who the Crunkest and obviously Slob on My Knob, speak for itself. So I
does
think
this come out on No Limit? Because it feels like it's got like that No Limit thing with the pen and pixel cover art, where they're all making by the way, their heads are all at really weird angles, and they're like really mean mugging on the cover. But it also has that No Limit thing where it's trying to advertise the value you're getting by putting every single feature on the cover.
Yeah, it's like you're getting a great deal for $9.99.
And it must be No Limit because the features are all like, it's the Hot Boys, Juvenile, BG, Big Timers. Like, I'm not seeing Birdman. Well, I mean Big Timers. So
yeah, I'm not actually sure.
This had to have been on No Limit. It's not listed there on RYM, but this has to be.
It still hypnotized minds, but they were really, they were like really, really riding like the No Limit wave and the Cash Money wave at that time. But it still hypnotized minds.
Well, yeah, I guess you're right. Like, yeah, there's no actual like Master. If it was actually No Limit, Master P would be on here somewhere doing something.
Yeah,
like he always
way more filler too. Like it would be.
It would be a 30
minutes.
A 30
No Limit, but I don't need a 35 track album with just
35 tracks.
Yeah, I know. Like Master P would
songs.
look at this and say that there's 75 minutes. He's like, well, there's still 5 minutes of space left. You can put some skits on there. You can put another Master P skit on, like
put
another
a remix on the back end, dude.
Yeah.
Come on. I just signed Snoop. You can get a free verse. Let's go.
All those great Snoop No Limit verses.
You can get a free verse.
It's bizarre that Snoop Dogg put out 3 albums on No Limit Records and they all sucked. But I'm not gonna derail into that.
The Snoop Dogg episode is going to be like 17 hours. That's going to legitimately be like a 5-hour long episode if we actually commit to a Snoop Dogg episode at any point. There's a gospel album. There's a 2-hour gospel album.
No Limit Top Dog is not a bad record.
Yeah, it is pretty good.
Yeah, that's also elite cover art with him and the definitely airbrushed in dogs, but that's definitely fine.
Shout out to Lil B's Bruno with the Pruno cover art, which I think is a tribute to that.
Also, famously, like an 100-track album, right? Or is that no?
Yeah, that was one of his 100-track ones that had like a bunch of acapellas nobody asked for in the middle.
the 20 songs in a row of acapellas, yeah.
Dude, it took me 5 days to listen to 05 fucking when it came out. I had to listen to it in chunks of 20. Like,
God, those must have been 5 really good days then. Wow.
I genuinely loved that.
Oh, it's a great tape.
But it was just
I could just listen to his version of Toxicity over and over for 5 days. I don't even usually listen to the rest.
On the topic of CrazyNLazDayz, I really like the album. I don't have too much to say that Christian didn't say, only because I think you did hit the nail on the head of, hey, it's got a little filler, but not necessarily a bad thing, because like the quality is still really consistent, and you can kind of see that it was a good stopgap. You know, like when there's a TV episodes, like, you know, in a series, and you kind of get like that one that's not really as great as the other ones, but you know it's like important because it needs to lead into something.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like what this reminds me of episode. So yeah, great record. Don't really listen to it too much besides like the highlights, but I still remember enjoying it when I did listen to it. But it prefaces one of my favorites from them, so it kind of gets overlooked in my eyes.
I agree.
Yeah, I have nothing to add because I did not listen to it, but I will get to it though because I've heard good things. So.
And I think 3/6's catalog, to bring up a point that you mentioned in one review, is you had said something, Christian, about even though they've gotten acclaim and retroactively, their catalog during these years has kind of just gone by the wayside for a lot of rap fans. You know, It's like, oh, Mystic Stylez, or it's like, oh, the Underground Comp, and it's like, okay, that's it. Maybe some of the crunk singles, okay, done. You kind of lose out on a lot of great music.
I think a lot of, like, weirdly enough, I think a lot of like mainstream hip hop and more like mainstream trap artists channel a lot of their post Mystic Stylez stuff into their music at this point, especially like 2000s era Project Pat stuff. So I think that like there's a contingency within like the hip hop producer sect and like the Atlanta scene more like granularly that's still super in tuned with that sound, but like the underground influence that 3/6 has had on modern hip hop and like the more critical side of things, I feel like a lot of their post Mystic Stylez stuff gets shamefully overlooked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more, especially like just because it's such a treasure trove of even things that like you could hear as a rap fan that you just like wouldn't have heard before. So, and also all the different iterations of the songs, like when Patrick said how they incorporated some of the songs on the end into chapter 2. So yeah, definitely a thing for 3/6 fans to seek out. But should we do When the Smoke Clears before we go on too long and alienate everyone?
This is yet another good ass album in a string of them.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites from them.
This is actually my second favorite behind Mystic Stylez. Third if you count Underground. So.
Right.
Yeah, I'd say this is another probably one of their best.
Their most like would we say their most iconic song aside from Stay Fly?
Yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, and you could argue maybe even over that with Sipping on Some Syrup.
Yeah, and there's even also, don't forget Who Run It. There was a whole people freestyling over that for like a year.
The Who Run It beat is absolutely insane. It's also kind of like a demented fucking beat. like kind of deranged beat, because there's just like these large sections of it that are, I don't mean to sound it, but like could be unlistenable if you don't like listen to it right. Like in the middle section of it, it's so abrasive and so loud, but it's a great fucking beat.
Shout out to Take a Bump for being the rare weed song that gives equal time to doing coke.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah, break out the dollar. Break out the dollar and take a bump. I love What You Know. That's such a classic, like crunk era track.
Yep. I love how in the background of every verse on that song, there's just a constant like low chant of the city that the rapper is from. That's funny.
Yeah, I feel like I knew you were going to say chanting, because I feel like this is probably their most chant-heavy album.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of just chant, like fucking second vocal like track chants on this. It's great. I love it. It like every track just gets like fucking on steroids with just that single vocal effect.
Because it's kind of like they kind of took like the hypnotic repetition from like their older stuff and turned it into like a group of people like there's like a fight going on in the middle of a mosh pit, like a legit fight just broke out and people are like chanting some mantra while two people beat the shit out of each other. Like that's like where that repetition then pivoted to, and like you'll hear that on like Mafia. I can't say the other half of that.
Yeah,
where that's where the Yeah Ho sample comes from. And that's coming from the beginning of the track to the end. It's like, yeah, ho, the entire time. And it's hard as fuck. It's hypnotic in its own right, but it's more aggressive and like really like visceral, like you guys were saying, like really up in your face.
Is the Yeah Ho sample the most like repeated sample in the last like 20 years of rap music? Like just throughout different songs?
God willing, it is.
Yeah, like I imagine so, just because it's like it's been in so many things. So I can only think so. Also, when I made the joke earlier about driving around with the windows down, I was referring to Weak Ass Bitch was definitely a song. When I say weak ass,
dude, you know that beat samples
Say bitch.
that beat Juicy J made that beat, and that beat samples a song from the video game Patrique.
The Dinosaur Hunter
game from the
N64. N64 game with all the fog.
Yep. Da, 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 da. That's apparently from the game.
I knew I recognized that. I never even thought about that.
You have now activated Nintendo 64 Patrique right there.
Well, I didn't even. I was way late to the N64 game. It's just I'm more like geek out about fucking samples where I can't place them, and then I recognize them way down the road. But Juicy was definitely a pioneer then in sampling video game shit in 2000 because that was not common then.
No.
Like we'll get.
I don't even know how he got that audio.
Shows up on future 3.6 releases, but noted Leprechaun Little Flip got fucking very popular with his gimmicky ass Pac-Man sample on Game Over, and that was 3 years after that. It was still like a novelty to sample fucking Pac-Man. Like, so Juicy J sampling a relatively obscure N64 first-person shooter and
turning it into a hard-ass crunk song is pretty fucking
hard. Like that's a killer flip right there. So, yeah, there's nothing bad on here. Like, I'm sure people would look at the track list and like, what about the ICP song? ICP song's fucking good. I don't know what to tell you. I like that song. And everybody goes hard at it. They let Shaggy do like 2 lines. They do not let Shaggy 2 Dope do like anything, which is probably wise. But Twisted and Violent J rap perfectly well on it and fit perfectly good. So it's a hard-ass song. It fits in perfectly well. It's not as good as the songs around it, but those are 2 of the best, hardest songs on the tape. Memphis and Who Run It. Of course, Who Run It. Like,
I mean, just even the like the chanting, like "Who Run It?" Dun dun dun. Who run? Like it's so infectious.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I also want to say like From the Back is a great song. Like the interplay between between them is great. Like just the way they do that hook. That's very funny. Obviously, it's the humor in it, but Tongue Ring didn't, not something that like you expect to work, but it really does.
I love how dark the beat is, and then how funny like the lyrics are.
The lyrics, it's so absurd.
It's like, and the music video, dude, like you can tell that it was shot on a green screen, like in some like warehouse, dude. Like it's like so obviously green screen. Like I think it's like almost to the point where they knew the quality wasn't going to come out that good for whatever reason, so they kind of like fucked with it a little bit and just made the video look really fucking like weird as hell. But the video for that song is hilariously bad in a good way though.
Yeah, I think those are some highlights on there. I mean, we were talking about Take a Bump, which is a big highlight on there. Also, the shout out to the Mr. Servon feature on Touch With It.
Yeah, that's a great song too.
Great song, yeah, really great song. It's hard as fuck.
I thought Fiend sounded great on there too. It always throws me off to listen to Fiend because I never really. I mean, he obviously had the one big single that was back when I wouldn't even have noticed when it dropped, and then when I first got into hip hop, I was like, oh yeah, No Limit's trash, whatever. I'm not going to pay any attention to that. So when I first noticed Fiend, it was when he was on Jet Life, and he sounded nothing like he did when he was on No Limit, like complete 180. So it always throws me off when I hear all these old Fiend stuff from back when. What the fuck was the name of his famous album? The one from 98.
I know what you're talking about.
Oh, it's I've heard it many times. Was it fucking?
I could just click on his name on here and I can fucking find out, couldn't I?
Street Life, yeah.
Yes, 99. Yeah, well, yeah, that's that.
Well, there's a couple. There's a couple.
The one before that one.
Yeah, there's one in every.
I think there's one in every family is the one I was actually thinking of.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah, Street Life is just great.
But yeah, like both of them. Yeah, it always throws me off because he had this super smooth delivery when he was with Currency, but before he went to jail, when he was with No Limit, he's just like fucking the crazy ass delivery. He's a perfect fit with them, and he has a few more songs with them too. Like I think on Choices 2, I want to say one of them. There's like a bunch of Fiend features, and he's always a really good fit with them.
Yeah.
So
no question. Yeah, they fit right in on that. Shout out to LaChat too. She's got great stuff too, like in her own.
Yeah, LaChat's a good presence. I like her better than I think that Lil White. They kind of used very cynically to fill in for Gangsta Boo once Gangsta Boo left. Like it was just like kind of a 1-to-1 split. But Lil White doesn't interest me nearly as much. But I think LaChat has her own personality. Yeah. So
yeah.
Murder She Spoke is a great record from her. It came out like around the same time. So
did you guys know that LaChat was Tommy Wright's girlfriend at one point?
Did not know that.
I think I did know that, but I didn't know what at what point did that, because it says that she was a 10 Wanted Men member. If I'm correct about that.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think I did know that, but I didn't know what I don't know. I don't think what anybody knows, but what's the one where it's like what was I'm trying to think of the album where it was like they're not sure if he was a girl or whatnot, or what the mythology behind what.
Yeah,
God, what is it called? I've heard it like 5 times too. I don't know why I'm forgetting the name of this album.
I know exactly what you're talking about. It's really bothering me.
They thought it was like
a Nas Scarlet thing. Like
yes, but they thought it was not Koopsta. They thought it was Skinny Pimp as posing as somebody else. I'm shocked that Christian isn't correcting me right now.
Yeah, God damn.
I'm not sure what you're talking
about. I'm drawing
about.
a complete blank.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Lady B, right? The Lady B. Shit. What is it? I mean, I can't say the title because it's not. Lady B is the artist. They came out in '94, and there are like people that say,
you can't say that
pitched
title.
up Skinny Pimp. Yeah. Where's my fucking title? Get out of here. It's just like people talk, oh, it might be pitched up like Skinny Pimp, and like, is it really a woman, or is it just Skinny Pimp with vocal effects?
Back in '99's review says it's King Skinny Pimp. Specifically, just says it is. Says third and last. The name Lady B and performed entirely by Derek Kingpin Skinny Pimp Hill, self-produced and self-published through his own label.
Yeah, there's like a article about it that's like documents the history of Skinny Pimp and Lady B and who it really is and yada yada yada.
Yeah, we'll link that in the 3-6 documentary if we can actually find it in the show description on YouTube.
Sorry it took me so long to think of that, because that actually is a really good record. But it's just
I always meant to check that out actually. Even though I remember like the Nas Scarlet thing is notoriously like one of the worst things Nas ever did, I actually think this sounded interesting, and I always meant to get around it and never did. So even though although it is just interesting to think of King Skinny Pimp singing like rapping songs like "Where the Big Dick's At."
Yeah.
Maybe he was trying to tell us something.
Maybe, hey,
he was broadcasting it pretty loudly if he was.
Chris, I'm surprised you haven't heard this album. I thought that you would be like, oh yeah.
Yeah, it's
the Lady B album. I have not actually. No.
Why? It's when you go really down the hole of Memphis rap, you find some weird things. So
you do.
Yeah. Any other thoughts about When the Smoke Clears before we move on?
Not really. I mean, I wish I had more about, like, it's just consistently great, and I think it's one of their funnier ones a lot of the time too.
Yeah,
but I can't.
We kind of tiptoed around it.
Tongue Ring's hilarious. I just generally think that this is one where they're like the party energy is starting to really come across in the rapping, I think. As opposed to just like kind of gradually changing in the beats. And the beats, I think, are kind of in that hybrid space between the lo-fi menacing shit and the more club-ready crunk stuff. So, but they're still, since it's an in-between space, they're kind of free to experiment. So you get kind of the occasional weirder stuff. And I think that then you also get stuff like Sipping on Some Syrup, which is just fucking perfect, iconic.
Yeah.
Like
there's, I mean, the actual like name of the fucking like Discord is like,
Yeah.
I mean, so, it's
I
know, but I mean, there's no words that you could say about Sipping on the Syrup. Like, we kind of danced around it, but it's really one of like the best songs that's ever been made, no question.
Yeah, it's bookended with that and Who Run It. So again, sequencing incredible. 44 Killers is a really amazing way to start off. It's a super energetic way to kick off too. So really, yet again, coming out the gate, this time I would say with 3 incredibly hot songs. Just Like Us, I don't think is on the same level as the first 3. It's perfectly fine, but I think the first 3 are where it's like, and yeah, Weak Ass Bitch, which just the visual of you bumping that in your car is hilarious to me. And
yeah. As a 18, 19-year-old white kid, so even worse voice than I have now. Like, I was, I looked younger. It was just brutal. That was terrible. But yeah, deserved all the derision I got. But anyway, this is like the most like fun 3-6 album. Also,
I would agree with that.
You guys know the intro to Sipping on the Syrup, right? Obviously, like I read a YouTube comment, and it's probably the top one still there, but it was like, when the government calls for my student loans, and it's like the intro.
KY jelly packing ass.
I love the part right at the end. He's like, and we ain't playing with you. Like the little echo in the background before they say, now pull it up. Great intro. But yeah, I guess we'll do, what is it? The Unbreakables is the next one, right?
Yeah, I believe so. No, Choices. According to ROM's Choices.
I have very little to say about Choices because I don't have, like, it's fine, but I don't have much to say.
It was cool.
Yeah, not really a fan. Didn't do much.
Cool cover. Cool cover art, I guess.
It was a soundtrack, so I don't really hold it as part of, like, their core albums. But, It has a couple of good songs on it. I like Two-Way Freak. I like Baby Mama.
Baby Mama's great. But you can honestly, I mentioned this in my review, I think. I think my first exposure to 3-6 Mafia, aside from Stay Fly, was on a DJ Shadow's Diminishing Returns, which is like a mix he made where one side is all hip hop, one disc is all hip hop, and one disc is all like 70s, like prog, like Zappa and shit. And it starts off with Baby Mama over like a killer remix beat, and then it goes into like a David Banner song. It's fucking sick. So shout out to DJ Shadow Diminishing Returns, because I think Shadow was actually the one to really turn me on to, like, I don't think it's deep cut 3-6 Mafia. I think that's like one of their hits. And it is the best thing on here. Blichat, it kills that song. That's my Two-Way Freak's fun. The beats, I go back and forth on that beat because it's like kind of a gimmicky beat with like the pager noises and shit. Also,
the violin's crazy in it. That's all I can say.
Well, there are cool things about the beat too, but I mainly remember the pager. Like the pager noise is dominant. Like that's the gimmick of the beat. But you are right. There is some cool shit in there. I was also wondering, 2001, I guess pagers would still be timely. I guess cell phones weren't really. I mean, Caleb was like 1 at the time. He wouldn't know. I'm not really asking. But
I was like 2. So, what do you?
This was like, came out a week before 9/11. So whatever you were a week before 9/11. This didn't do anything for me because it was just a bunch of like, you're right. It's all relationship shit, because I guess the movie that this was for a movie, which we nominated for one of our movie nights in the Discord for rapper movie night. It did not get, I don't think, any votes, actually. Unfortunately.
The movie maybe we'll have to revisit.
But I will eventually see the film, because I'm sure we all need to see how Crunchy Black's acting holds up. But
might be better than his music career. It's possible, but I'm not too sure.
I'm sure the Lord Infamous song is good. That's the best. That's the other really good thing on here, is the Lord Infamous solo song, and that's really about it. Like, I mean, it's not terrible, but you could really go without listening to it if you're like not a completist. It didn't really do shit for me. So now the Unbreakables, which is their major label debut, I believe, and obviously was their biggest album ever because it had like gigantic fucking singles on it, or at least one.
Yeah, and also
Unbreakables personally.
Was that the biggest? Well, obviously, I'm talking about Riding Spinners was the huge single. Was there? I don't know. I'm trying to think if anything else was like giant like that, but because this was definitely like where like the rest, like, mainstream America really was exposed to 3-6 Mafia.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good. I don't know. There's some stuff on here I don't really like. I will say, like, the stuff on here that's good is really good, and the stuff on here that isn't just does strike me as them for the first time compromising a little bit.
There's a little of like a cartoonish element to some of the songs, but I find that it's really fun personally. I mean,
like, their personalities are so ingratiating and charismatic that even when it is like cartoonish, like you said, and really broad, like, it's always like they're never subtle. Like some of the least subtle fucking music ever made. But that's to its credit. So but it just feels like they kind of, I don't want to say dumbed down or sold out or anything, but I don't know. I mean, that's definitely what I would say about Last to Walk. But here it does feel like the stuff that doesn't work. I mainly just don't like Lil Flip, and I think the fact that fucking Saliva guys on here really sucks. Like, those are the ones, like, I could really do without Rainbow Colors. I could really do without Mosh Pit.
I love Rainbow Colors personally. I love how
Rainbow Colors beat is sick. Rainbow Colors beat is super sick. I don't like Lil Flip, man. I just do not like that fucking guy. He annoys me. So he kind of takes me out of that. I think the beat is really cool though. But
yeah, I mean,
I can tell my take is not very popular. But
no,
I think it's like the last of their must-listen-to albums. I think stuff like Let's Start a Riot is insane. Dangerous Posse is fucking... The beat sounds like it's the end of the world. it's just unreal how they did that. Test of My Gangsta is awesome. Lord Infamous kind of dipping back to the horrorcore bag a little bit on that verse. Rainbow Colors is a really dope beat. I can agree Flip isn't the most charismatic guy on it. I think he's serviceable. But the beat and Juicy's performance, and Paul's performance too, to me, compensate for whatever Lil Flip was lacking.
Right. I mean, they're better than him.
And for as far as early 2000s radio singles go, Riding Spinners is in a different category compared to like whatever the fuck was on like Nelly's fourth album at that point.
I mean, that's a bold stance you're taking to go after those, anything after EI by Nelly in terms of quality. But
I'll always give Country Grammar its credit, but there's nothing else I'm giving him.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is it was Country Grammar and then EI. And even then EI is like, I'm probably reaching by giving that any credit because that was a gibberish ass hook where he says underlay, EI, EI. Actually, no. I just talked myself out of defending that one. I'll only give him Country Grammar. And he also birthed Rap Country, which fuck him for that.
Yeah. Agreed.
Even if the Rap Country song he made is not like a terrible example of that, it's just boring, he made it possible. So fuck him. Without him, there would be no Accidental Racist. There would be no Florida Georgia Line. There would be no Cowboy Troy. Just no end of terrible shit made possible by Nelly and Tim McGraw. So yeah, I would say that Riding Spinners was like better than whatever Nelly was doing.
So yeah, I personally, I think it aged well. I like the engineering on it a lot. I think it's a very well engineered album.
Bin Laden's my favorite thing on here. Bin Laden's another one of their classic threatening smoking weed with them songs.
The synths on that are crazy.
That's my favorite beat on here, and I just love everyone's delivery on it. It's cartoonishly aggressive in the best sort of way. It's funny. It's definitely, it knocks like that, and like that run. The great run that every 3-6 album has is on this one is from Test of My Gangsta to Riding Spinners, I would say. Mm-hmm. Like again, Flip annoys me on Riding Spinners, but there's no denying everything else about that one. Like beat's perfect. Just like, I mean, he's annoying, but he's fine. He fits it enough. Like I can tolerate him more on that than I can on Rainbow Colors, where he actually annoys me. So, I will say that Ghetto Chick is terrible.
It's not that good of a song.
It's not an ideal song.
That song's
that sample's rough. That sample's a rough sample.
That was.
They usually nail it, but that was a rough sample.
That was a fucking wide miss for me. And Shake That Jelly is not great either. Shake That Jelly is just stupid by their standards. Stupid. So yeah, that's a pretty dire little stretch there. That's why I think less of this. But everything else, like, I mean, this would be the point where I can stop saying with everything, if you don't count Choices, because Choices was just whatever, that there are no bad songs. Because here you can objectively say there are 2 bad songs. And Rainbow Colors, I can't say anything with that beat is a bad song, but I don't personally care for it because of the little flip part. Mosh Pit, again, I kind of appreciate what they're going for, but it's the guy from Saliva. Fucking guy who sang Hero with the guy from Nickelback on a 3-6 Mafia album. He looks like a giant overgrown pug. Like, fuck out of here. No.
I now have to look up what Lil Flip looked like at the time. Oh, yeah. I can see it. So Patrick's vendetta against Lil Flip holds strong to this day. Should we go to Most Known Unknowns, which I think has their biggest song on there?
I mean, there's technically Choices too. I don't know if you guys want to hit that.
There is. Now that is one that I heard once.
You don't need to.
Yeah.
It's just more of the same as Choices 1. It's cool.
It is.
But nothing you have to
shout out to the V-Real cover art. With the fucking Phantom of the Opera ass theater mask, drama mask.
Yeah, I don't understand the cover art. What the fuck is the cover art?
Do we have to?
It looks like the mask. It looks like the face from the film Arcade.
It does. Do we have to watch Choices 2 now? Because I have not seen that film.
They were actually trying to shoot a Choices 3 at some point, but it never materialized.
Can't imagine why. Oh yeah, one thing I will say is I did not like Frasier Boy on this album. I thought he was
horrible.
Yeah, it wasn't a great moment for Frasier.
And I'm okay with Frasier Boy sometimes, but he was really bad on that album.
Yeah, it was a lot of Frasier Boy, and it was not the proudest moment for Frasier Boy. I'll say that much. And you get a lot. It's basically a Frasier Boy solo album. I'll say that much. So that's why we don't really need to talk about it because he's on every fucking track. Yeah, Most Known Unknown. Is this when they won the Oscar?
They won the Oscar for the song "It's Hard Out Here for a Pimp," but that was on the Hustle soundtrack. That wasn't the album.
Yeah, so I know it's not on the album, but it's like this around the time they won the Oscar.
Yeah, same year. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So now they are officially Academy Award winners. 3 6 Mafia.
Hell fucking yeah.
Hell yeah. And by the way, their Academy Award accepting speech, great speech, all timer.
Thank you, Jesus.
The music kicked them off after like 15 seconds, and it didn't matter. It didn't fucking matter.
Oscar has
but I watched the interview with Juicy and Paul, and they were like, "We didn't think we were gonna win, so we just showed up to be polite, but like we were pretty sure our song was not gonna get an award." So they weren't even dressed for the occasion. They were just hanging out backstage, like in like baggy 2000s rap t-shirts, and they're like, "Holy fuck, we just won the award!" They had no speeches prepared, nothing. They just went up and just spitball random shit, dressed up in like some baggy shirt with like a skeleton on it. It's like, Jesus Christ, dude.
And Oscar has tried to overcompensate for this for the next 20 years by being as painfully white as possible.
The best thing the Oscars ever did was give that legitimately awesome song a fucking award. Like, I'm not clowning the award at all. Nothing how they responded.
And I'm glad that they got it, and they should rub it in everyone's face for all eternity that they have a fucking Oscar. I think that's great.
They've definitely said in an interview like who has it, but also who has it. Do we know? I don't know who has possession of the statue.
Paul does.
I was going to say I don't think anyone's taking that from Paul.
That's what I thought.
So this has one of the very greatest songs by anybody ever on it, and Stay Fly. And if you disagree, you really shouldn't have ever been listening to this podcast. I can't imagine why you would be listening to this podcast, but turn it the fuck off.
You want to hear a depressing story? So I went to a really corny college, like a private Catholic school or whatever, fucking corny, whatever. I was DJing a party, and I was playing a bunch of contemporary stuff that people liked, mixing in some of the older stuff too, but mostly just contemporary. Then contemporary was like 2017, so it was just all like Migos. And then I throw on Stay Fly to just try to like change it up, but I tastefully maneuver it in there. You know, it's not like it's a jarring transition, but they're like, "This is so fucking old. What the hell is this? I'm not trying to listen to this." I was like, I never needed another party for that frat again. I was like, this is fucking pathetic. Like, I am not about to listen to this goddamn. Like, it's fine if I fucked up the DJing. Let me know. Okay, I'll own that if that's what happened. But no, they just didn't like the song. I was like, there's no party I want to be at where 3 6 Mafia is not welcomed. Like, that is fucking lame as hell. Especially Stay fucking Fly, dude.
DJing at a frat where Stay Fly gets like booed off the floor is my idea of hell. Those are the worst kind of people.
Just,
like, fuck all of you.
Personal purgatory right there. I'm done.
It was pretty horrible.
Yeah.
I think. Well, I'm sorry, did I interrupt you?
Oh no, go ahead. No, go ahead. You got it.
I was gonna say I think the high points on this album are as good as anything they ever did. The stuff that's not high points is just filler. Like, I don't hate any song on here, but it's not like it's even good. It's just like serviceable. But then the high points are fucking awesome. So I'd say the album overall breaks even at being like a good, solid album. I'd say it's their first album I wouldn't go to bat for as even potentially being a classic. I don't think it's even near that range. But I think it's like worth listening to, and its highlights are definitely some of the best shit you'll ever get out of Southern hip hop.
I think I enjoyed it more than the last one, although I agree with you that there is filler. It also does kind of feel like they're putting out like a more conventional, like, I mean, they don't have like R&B hooks on it or anything, but they do have, like, they're farming out features more. Like, you see Paul Wall shows up twice. Like you got Slim Thug, you got, little flips around again, obviously. Like, why wouldn't he be after Spinners was so huge? Like, they're definitely branching out a bit on there. It feels more mainstream. I wouldn't, debatable if they're compromising or not, but anything that gets you Stay Fly, I don't care. That's fucking perfect. I would also say that the Paul Wall collaboration works. Both work really well. I like the one with Mike Jones better, although anything with Mike Jones is, pretty limited in what it's going to do by the nature of being Mike Jones.
He's Mike Jones.
Who?
I hear he's Mike Jones.
Okay.
Apparently he's Mike Jones.
I'm not going to drag that one.
I got it, Patrick.
I was really tempted to keep dragging that out.
I got it.
But Paul Wall is somebody that I really didn't like at the time, that once I stopped being a fucking snob about shit, I realized was actually very good at what he did. And he's another guy who fits in quite well with 3 6 Mafia, I think. Like, he fits in better than some of the other guests here. I could do without Remy Ma. I really could. That didn't do shit for me.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think it's a good album. Like, definitely worth your time. But I wouldn't say it's essential. I'd say its hit singles are essential. I'd say Stay Fly is an essential song. Pop My Collar too. Maybe Side to Side. But
Yeah,
I would definitely say Side to Side, because the Kanye West version is fucking awesome. But besides that, the rest of it's like good, solid stuff, but mostly just filler.
Yeah. Like, it's just not. I mean, you're right. I guess I have not much else to say about it. Pop of My Collar. I guess it's kind of been like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of which one would be more recognizable for them for like an average person. I think Pop of My Collar is probably their most famous song, and I feel like for a while it was like appropriated by like the ironic bro types. So I don't know if it's been like recovered or anything, but I feel like that definitely like a popped collar was definitely the sign of the world's biggest douchebag for a while, and it was worn ironically. And I think that song was like, so I think that was kind of like them again leaning into their like image a little bit.
Yeah.
Or their new fan base. But it's still a fucking amazing song. Like, regardless of whether people were like being ironic douchebags listening to it or not, it's like incredibly infectious.
It's a great hook and one of like the only good Crunchy Black verses that you'll hear. But
I mean, that is an incredibly rare animal, the good Crunchy Black verse.
Very rare. But elite hook.
2000s.
Yeah, instantly iconic hook. Yeah.
I don't actually remember the bonus tracks because most of my memories were listening to this on. I don't think they were on my CD issue. Maybe they were. I don't remember. But just the idea of a track called "Let's Plan a Robbery" is hilarious to me. I don't.
It definitely feels like a little self-parodic, but it's not. It's still good. That's
I don't. This is definitely their like big budget, like we won an Oscar like album, and they have like, the production matches that. The guest list matches that. It also has that sort of filler too. Like, they're putting out major label rap albums now officially. Like, that's what you're getting here. So I accidentally made this a 5. I did not mean to make this a 5 when I was. It is not a fucking 5.
Scrambling to change it.
It is still good though. Like, again, like I don't want to give the impression this is a bad album. It certainly isn't. The highs are great, and I wouldn't necessarily say that there's nothing on here as bad as Ghetto Chick. I'll say that much.
Oh, no question. Also, shout out to the one comment that says Juicy J rocking that hat. His grandma knit him on the album cover. That's an outstanding comment. That's the only reason why.
2000s 3-6 fashion choices were something else. That I remember in the music video, DJ Paul has a Burger King T-shirt on.
And, he has it his way. I don't know. What's he gonna do?
But he's got a brown FUBU sweatsuit on with a Memphis Grizzlies hat and a fucking Burger King T-shirt.
Hey.
I mean, FUBU in 2000s is definitely a bold choice. I didn't know that was still like
the tail end.
Clinging on to its relevancy. But
I'm trying to debate which of the 3 fashion items there is like most embarrassing: the Grizzlies, the FUBU, or the Burger King.
I think the Burger King is so ridiculous. It's actually like kind of cool, but in like a so bad it's good way. Like it's definitely it's not a good look, but it's like such a bad look that it's like funny.
Well, you know, it was so bad it was bad, and a bad look, and so bad it wasn't funny. Was Last to Walk by 3-6 Mafia.
Last to Walk is not very good. I don't think it is. Well, here's the deal. I gave it a higher rating than I think you did, but definitely I gave it a higher rating than Patrick did. But my rating is for like my track list that I made for it, which is like it becomes like a fine record. I have like a list basically with like the track list I put on there, but like they missed like some layups they could have put on this track list. Like I don't understand who organized this album, but they probably didn't care that.
You know what happened with it, right? It's the only album that didn't have Crunchy Black on it.
Oh well,
that's it. Like
that fucked up the whole thing. Yeah, it's 22 songs, 73 minutes. That is just ridiculous. So I think I put it down to like
feature Good Charlotte.
Yes, they do.
Twice.
I think in my list I made, I put it down to like 13 or 14 tracks, which would be a lot better. What did I like? PlayStation's a funny song.
PlayStation, PlayStation's the best thing on here. I got would be good if the beat wasn't trash.
It sounds
I
like
honestly don't even remember much about this besides Lolly Lolly because that was like horrible.
Yeah.
But it somehow flipped the Halloween soundtrack at the same time, and PlayStation's fucking really good, but that's about it.
Yeah, it's this is a bad record on its face originally. And I think I threw like Doughboy Fresh on there. I threw some songs from the Juicy J projects around the time, like 30 Inches from Hustle Till I Die.
That's a great song.
That's a great song. I really like On Some Chrome actually on the Proper album.
Yeah, no, that's pretty good.
I like that song. I like the Pimp C part on it. So that was good shit. What else did I have on here? You know the song Purple Kush from the same Juicy project from 09? That one.
I think so.
Yeah. It's like it kind of sounds like it should have been on Blue Dream and Lean, but it's still really good. Christian, there's a Lord Infamous song. I'm not sure if you've heard. It's off the Blood Money project. It's the title track. But like Lord Infamous just rips that song. I don't know if you've heard it, but I heard it when I was making this list like a while ago. It was just like
I'm
really great song.
That thing. Who's it by?
It's off the Blood Money album from Lord Infamous and T-Rock, who I don't know.
Oh yeah, I know that album.
But it's the title track from it is actually really good. I don't remember the rest of the album, but Lord Infamous rips that title track. So yeah, pretty much. Basically, if you want to check out my list, it's just like me redoing Last to Walk. But the song "That's What a Pimp Does," the Juicy Mane song, that's a fucking great song. So
I'm just wondering whatever happened to Superpower. Superpower did that excellent auto-tune T-Pain knockoff hook on Lolly Lolly, and I don't think he ever made another
disappeared
work after that.
Oh, that was his superpower, was disappearing.
all right.
Great is the late 2000s ringtone rap, dude. Where did Superpower go?
Is that like where did Kurt Cobain's go?
Dude.
Where did Kurt Cobain's go exactly?
Is that one of the worst rap names ever?
Kurt Cobain. Well, it's bad enough already when you just think it's gibberish rapper grammar, but then you realize it's a play on Kurt Cobain, and then it's just like,
it's really bad.
Why? I'm pretty sure there are like that's a whole genre of weed carrier rap name is like Kurt Cobain puns. Like there's like Black Cobain. I'm pretty sure. I guarantee you somewhere there's a Kurt Cocaine. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
No question. Someone on SoundCloud is definitely has that as their account name.
I'm gonna look that up right now. Let's see.
6 clips of like fucking like Nevermind samples.
it's just flips of Lil Peep's Cobain. Like,
Yep, it's real. Kurt Cocaine. Yep. It's a white dude too. It's a white rapper named Kurt.
of course
Shocking.
it is.
Fucking shocking.
God. Do we want to round off with 6 commandments before everyone turns us off, or they've already turned us off? But you know,
We got everybody back with the
Commandments?
Kurt
So that's a
Cobain
mixtape.
talk. But wasn't it Watch What You Wish For or whatever in Mafia 6?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
I don't know. I didn't hear whatever 6 commandments is. I didn't hear that either. So.
Well, it came out before.
Really good. Worth listening.
Yeah, Six Commandments was like their comeback record. In 2013. Yeah, it's good. It's good shit.
Bass Goes Perp feature on it. It's really good.
Oh
Yeah.
shit! I didn't see that on their page. Is that on their page?
They have a massive like posse cut of
Body Parts 4.
body parts. Yeah.
Juicy J has a surprise verse on it too because it doesn't show up on the rest of the tape.
There's even a Yellow Wolf feature.
I don't even see it on their page. Where the fuck is it?
It's at the bottom in like the mixtape section.
I'm looking at mixtape. Oh, 6 commandments. There it is. No, I didn't see that at all. So I didn't. I guess there's one after that too. Hear Some Evil.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, that one's okay.
Oh, what the fuck? Yeah, like Body Parts 9 minutes long. Wow. How the fuck?
That actually rips too. That's a great song.
This actually, yeah. I mean, this looks awesome. I mean, the Yellow Wolf feature, I could probably. I mean, that could be good. That could be terrible. Like could go either way. But other than that, this looks amazing. Like unqualified. Yeah, I want to. Wish I'd heard this. Wish I'd looked down the page. I did not know they had any like mixtapes. So as a group, at least.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's the one they have, and it was fucking awesome. It's like,
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
you guys, are you talking about what? Are we talking about Watch What You Wish, or do you want to talk about 6 Commandments?
Yeah, you guys can talk about 6 commandments for a minute.
Yeah, I guess we can do 6 Commandments for a second first, because that was like out of the comeback records, that's like by far the best one.
Oh yeah, I think with 6 Commandments, it was like a good redemption because even Juicy and Paul expressed in like the early 2010s that they didn't like the output for Last to Walk. A lot of it was a result of the label putting a lot of pressure on them to make something that would be poppier, and at the time ringtones were like the premium for like rap singles at the time. So they wanted to make something that would be a ringtone. That's what Lolly Lolly came for. So I think 6 Commandments was like 3-6 kind of wanting to remind people, like, especially because kids were at the time like Space Ghost Perp and Lil Ugly Man and Denzel Curry were really praising like 90s era 3-6 Mafia. I think it was Paul, because Paul and his co-producer T.Y. Were kind of like showing like, look, like we may have went out on a low note, but like we still got it, and overall like we're the shit. And that tape was just a hard flex to let people know like we birthed the trap sound, we birthed the cloud rap sound, this and that. And it was really good. I really, really liked it. I expected it to be good because I heard the singles for it and it was awesome. And it was Paul sticking to his lane rather than trying to make a pop album like on Last to Walk. And I thought it paid off a lot. I thought it was a really great way for them to make a comeback and, you know, assert how good of a group they are.
Yeah.
To a new generation.
Yeah, I think you took the words out straight out of my mouth. It seems like it's like a grand return. You know, it feels very celebratory, and like they're actually making the music that like they want to make. Because even in like the DJ Paul solo stuff before this, not necessarily the Juicy solo stuff before this, because that stuff was actually pretty great, most of it. But like the DJ Paul stuff, like some of the offshoots, it still didn't feel like it had the same kind of like magic or the same feel. But it kind of culminates really well in this, and they kind of bring back everybody. You know, you have like they have like Lil White on here a couple times, which I know Patrick is kind of iffy on, but it's a callback.
No, I mean I don't mind her as much. I mean, like she's fine. It's just I felt more like it was like they just very cynically slotted her in right as getting.
Lil White's a dude.
Yeah, wait. I was gonna say.
Wait, Lil White. Oh, wait, what am I thinking of? Never mind. Oh, I just came across like a fucking moron. Never mind.
No, you're okay. You're okay. Yeah, Lil Wayne, the guy.
Who the fuck was I? Wasn't there? Just ignore me. Never mind.
They did. I'm trying to think of who you would.
Maybe I was thinking of Lachat. Maybe I was thinking of Lachat, but there weren't really that many more Lachat features on after Gangsta Boo left. But I must have been thinking of Lachat because that's who else would it have been?
Yeah, I like Lachat though.
I like her. Yeah. So I'm trying to think of who else I would have thought of. Like
maybe it was like could have been on someone like on hooks or something, or would it be like rapping?
No, it was verses. I don't fucking know what I was thinking of. But yeah, Lil Wayne definitely not a chick.
No. Yeah. Definitely not. But it kind of feels like they bring the whole game. I mean, they even have like the Apple and MJG song, you know. Yeah. So the culmination, you know, of that, another callback to Stay Fly and earlier stuff. So yeah, I mean, it just it feels like the right way to go out, you know. Like if this was like their last project, I think I would have been like cool with that because it's like it's a you know a who's who of this sound of hip hop in a way. So it's pretty tough for a lot of artists to like take the past and still sound more contemporary in 2013 or at any point in time in the 2010s. But because of 3-6 influence and like the power that they have and how their music, especially at that time, I imagine their music was just being really, you know, rediscovered and reevaluated. So it was a good time to drop it.
Yeah, no, I think it should have been their last. I think when Paul put out the other two tapes, they were good, but I think it was more because Paul has a very sentimental connection that he's vocally expressed to 3-6 Mafia. So does Juicy, but Paul really like that's his heart and soul right there. Yeah, and I think he thought he was going to like be able to completely revamp 3-6 Mafia again. But then Lord unfortunately passed away, and then Gangsta Boo parted ways again. I think Hoops ended up passing away in 2015. It evidently didn't end up working out that way, but I think he was trying to make lightning strike twice, and he pulled it off on that first tape for sure. But it just wasn't in the cards weren't in the deck for the other two projects, and I think it would have been more appropriate if you went on 6 Commandments. I think Watch What You Wish is a solid album. It's not great, but it's okay. Some of the high points are really good. The production's great. I just think it kind of I don't want to say overstayed its welcome because it might come off disrespectful, but it bit off more than it could chew. And I think that the summation of like the 2010s thing Paul was going for to revamp the Mafia was perfected and is only essential on 6 Commandments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I think it was like, I mean, when you listen to something like Watch What You Wish, which I guess is a good transition point. I mean, I don't have much to say about it. It doesn't feel, it has good, strong moments to it, but I only heard it once and I kind of didn't really need to hear most songs from it again. Like, it kind of feels like they're getting the crew back together again, but it's like a sequel. So it doesn't have the same power to it, in my opinion. And the songwriting isn't, quite as good. It just feels like a little, it feels a little lazier, I would say. But it's not a bad album. I don't want to shit talk it because, like, I only think 3-6 really has like one bad project. But yeah,
I only got, unfortunately, 3 tracks into this before I ran out of time before the show. But I mean, I thought what I heard was fine. Again, like, I think Fiend's a good fit with them. Although this is like, newer post-jail Fiend with a different style, but he still fits in like closer to his old style on that at least. But and like, it seemed like, I guess I'm in no hurry to finish hearing it. I wanted to hear the ICP track so I could comment on it for Wyatt's sake, but I imagine they're probably an improvement on the guy from Saliva at least. But and noted not Lady Lil White also on that song. But yeah, they were continuing. At least they continue their tradition of like revising old tracks on here. So it's, I don't know. It still always seems like it has the old feel to it, as best I can tell from what little I heard and from. But yeah, you're right. I feel like maybe they should have just let it lie.
Yeah, I think if he had wanted to, if Paul wanted to, insist on like kind of bringing back the Hypnotized Mind stuff, he should have tried to produce like solo albums for some of the members. I would have been totally down to check that out. It's not to say that I didn't like Watch What You Wish. It's just it doesn't feel necessary. It's good, not their best, but definitely is not a necessary album if you listen to Six Commandments. Six Commandments gets the job done for what they were going for on that twice over.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess not much else to say on this. To wrap up, I mean, I was going to ask what your favorite project is from them, but I think it's pretty obvious considering you both have said, one of you said it's your favorite album of all time, and one said it's your second favorite album of all time.
Yeah.
So pretty much not worth asking that, but what would you say, I guess, is top three? I guess top three most essential 3-6 projects.
It would be Underground Volume 1, Mystic Stylez, and Smoked Out Loced Out for me.
I would say it would be Underground Volume 1, Mystic Stylez, and I would probably say, I mean, Smoked Out Loced Out has a good case for it, and that's a classic, so I guess I'll just be like a little different, and I'll say When the Smoke Clears.
I would actually completely echo that. Underground Volume 1, Mystic Stylez, and When the Smoke Clears.
I think When the Smoke Clears is the one that is the only 3-6 record. I mean, I listen to all of them at any time of year, but that's the one that I listen to in the summer all the time. It's like a really fun, like, summer kind of lighter album, even though it's still really fucking dark, but it's not the same level, you know? It's not...
Yeah.
It's the rest of their music, yeah, we've talked about ad nauseum, is perfect for this time of year, now that we're in, November. But When Smoke Clears is more oriented for, it can be warmer weather, it can be a party album.
And I guess bonus final question. I was going to do rank the members, but we're not going to do that. That would take for fucking ever. I can't remember all of them if you include all the affiliates, but favorite member.
I said it in the beginning, Juicy J. I think Lord Infamous is the best rapper, and I think Paul in that era was a better producer than Juicy, narrowly. But I think Juicy is a phenomenal producer in his own right and is a solid rapper. And the two together make him like the most versatile member of the group.
Yeah, I would say Lord Infamous. I mean, I kind of did my whole thing about him like during the Underground Volume 1 stuff, but there's shit that, I mean, all the collective as a whole, there's stuff that, each of them do, maybe except Crunchy, but there's stuff that each of them do that you're just like, damn, like this is why rap music is the best genre in the world. So yeah.
Well, I mean, I obviously have to go with Crunchy Black. I mean, as Crunchy Black said on the YouTube video, when he chose to leave 3-6 Mafia, he wasn't kicked out. They were lost in the sauce without him. So,
yeah.
And he would be the expert. And I mean, I have to agree with Christian. It's juicy.
I mean, Last Walk came out after he left, dude.
The proof is right there. And then, he came back and they put out 6 Commandments. So...
Damn.
Just saying.
Really makes you think.
I mean, that will lead us to part 2, where we do talk, which will be exclusively about Crunchy Black's solo work and film career.
The good stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to do the extensive research before that one.
We're actually going to do a scene by scene on Choices 2.
Break it down. It's been
a soft pilot for our new podcast, where it's just a scene by every episode is a scene of Choices and Choices 2.
I hear that Choices 2 was taught in film schools everywhere, so I need to go watch that ASAP. But I'll get on that.
I need to read that Jonathan Rosenbaum review of Choices too.
I heard Ebert really liked it. I gotta go find it.
No, next week we will probably not cover any Crunchy Black solo material, but who knows? We will definitely be covering Juicy solo material. We will be covering all of the early Paul and Juicy tapes. We will be covering just any affiliate stuff that seems interesting. And if I said next week, I meant part 2. We don't know when part 2 is going to be. It took us long enough to get part 1 together. So part 2 will happen when it happens. But Christian, I'm sure you'll be joining us for that. It was great having you along for this one, as always.
Great coming on.
Yeah, you always have great insight to everything, and your passion comes across for the music for sure. So, and we're living off borrowed time. As always, our intro music is the Borrowed Time instrumental by Yoon Classic, and our outro music is Stagnated Pace by Can Kick. And we will see you next time.
It ain't gonna never stop. 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 It ain't gonna never stop.
Time will tell. Time is yet to be conquered by man. But when the time is right, perhaps the greatest revelation of all time will dawn upon us.